Welcome. Let's call this meeting to order at 6:03 now? 2. Okay. Clerk Flintoff, could you call the roll, please?
Carey.
Present.
Yeaple.
Present.
Flintoff. Present. Grant.
Here.
Knoll. Absent. Reed.
Here.
Riser.
Here.
We have quorum also present. Office Coordinator Christy Aiken. Township Attorney Mariah Fink.
All right. We do not have a flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll do that next time. We should be at Township Hall next meeting. Adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes, additions, subtractions?
I wanted to discuss, but we'll be voting for K7, 8, and 9. So is the proper thing to do to just pull them to have a brief discussion? Mm-hmm. Then I'd like to pull 7, 8, and 9. Please and thank you. I would also support requesting that 06, the authorization to replace the fire department brush truck, be moved into consent to save our esteemed fire chief time. I would move that, and I think some others have some other new business into consent.
I'm sorry, what was the case?
K7, 8, and 9
7, 8,
for just a brief summary to the public of what 7, 8, and 9 are going to do, the changes, and then into the board too. And then move 06, please, into consent.
And where would you like K7, 8, and 9?
Because it involves HR, and I want her not to have to hang out forever, right after Aurora Northrop's other things.
Why don't you want to just put it at the top of new
Yeah,
business?
top of new business.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I'd be okay with 03 going to consent agenda.
Agreed.
So, okay, if that's a movement of support, yeah, okay.
I would also make a motion. Our finance director just distributed a new list of bills. I'd like to make a motion to move K1 to the end of new business.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then we did just receive a late request from our fire chief who is here. Andy, thank you. And I would make a motion to add this to new business as 07. It's discussion, potential action to split savings of Fire Station 2 project with Cunningham Lynn. I think it's important to deal with tonight as our contractor is anxious to get some direction from the board back on this.
Okay, Kate. I'm sorry, 07. Could we do that before K1? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'm cramming it in here, so I may need some help reading my handwriting. We'll get there. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? I'm sorry.
If I may. 7, 8, and 9 are being moved to consent. K7, K8, K9 to consent. Or, I'm sorry, to new business. 06 to consent. This unnamed one becomes 07, the one from our fire chief. And K1 come from consent to new business.
As well as 03 to consent.
So is
03 to consent, okay.
07?
07 is the one
07
that...
is the newest fire.
That's a discussion. That's not a possible, that's a discussion. There's no motion or anything like that. Because if there's a motion, I prefer this go on March, because it's just discussion. There's no...
Okay, but it can be a new business.
It has a potential action, and the question is what the board's guidance is, because it does have a monetary impact to the contractor, and it is time sensitive. I think we can have a quick discussion, make a decision.
All right,
It
well...
will be under 10 minutes. I hope.
Okay.
Shuffle the cards.
Okay.
Move the agenda as amended.
Support?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And agenda is adopted as amended. Okay. I'm still catching my breath and I just lost my first page. Here you go. Oh, never mind. I just switched over to you. All right, declaration of conflict. Nope, moving on. Correspondence is received. Everybody has received them, and they were updated in the past.
Yes,
Okay.
in the past day. There's
Okay.
one correspondence from 2 staff people requesting action tonight. Didn't know if you wanted to discuss that now, Jillian, or another point in the meeting. Correspondence from Christy Aiken in Aurora, Northbrook.
No. I mean, if they'd like to discuss it, then we'll have a discussion. But, no. I did not respond to that on purpose, and I'm not going to until we sit down and have a meeting. Because I will have a request. So moving on, let's move to public comments. This is time for the members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. Where are we at this little table here?
Yeah.
And we have microphones over here, are those for a reason?
No, she can use this. No.
Relaxed.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Caroline Altamar, Scio resident. I'm going to speak regarding FOIA. At the last LASA meeting this week in reference to FOIA requests to Scio Township, Clerk Flintoff said, quote, "We don't get that many," unquote. First of all, I challenge that assertion, but if it is indeed true, why on earth does it take so long, way beyond what the law asserts, to reply to requests? The law says, unless otherwise agreed to in writing by the person making the request, the department shall have an initial response to a request for public record within 5 business days. Then within 10 business days after receiving a written appeal, the head of the department shall do the following, and then there's a list of the ways that they're done. Residents have reported in public comments and in email threads their experience quite the contrary. Surrounding townships have reported compliance with this law. Is there a FOIA log? Even if the clerk claims that there is, I'm dubious about that claim. Not calling out a lie, but perhaps our definitions of a log differ. In any case, it feels like a failure in duties. Put a pin in that. Second, I'd like to address the explosive interaction last week between Trustee Brandt and other meeting attendees. Loud enough, sharp enough, and harsh enough to be heard throughout Town Hall. Put a pin in that as well. Connecting my pins. You've been very focused on disciplining the supervisor for her supposed staff interactions and her failure to execute her duties. You have all been very public with your comments on her alleged behavior. In the discussion of the resolution to restrict their supervisor's access, you all blamed her. Not one of you took any responsibility for your part in the toxic culture of Town Hall. Now, we have 2 board members that have very clearly done the very thing that you accuse the supervisor of. Ryan, as you were the member to bring the resolution to restrict your access and submit the code of conduct policy, with these very concrete examples in the public record, where is your submission to hold the clerk and Trustee Brandt accountable? Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Here.
Anyone else present would like to speak?
Nope.
Go ahead. Yeah, I need to. Sit.
Time started yet.
Dude, we can time it.
I got my timer. I don't want to get beeped again.
This is your report.
Okay, good evening, Mark Altamare, Scio resident. Just to tag on quick, I've got a hodgepodge of things, but just to tag on quickly what Caroline finished with, the recent blow up, I think there should be something done with that. I know that there was a lot of pursuit over culture and so forth with the supervisor. And just to let this most recent one go without even acknowledging it, I'm not saying anything has to be done, but there should be some acknowledgement, because I do believe it indicates that one person was not responsible for the culture crisis. That leads to my second topic, which is this often discussed third-party independent assessment of culture, bringing in a consultant. I know that's been discussed a couple of times. There seems to be a lot of heads nodding. I'd be for that. I assume that's being worked on behind the scenes, and that's still on the way. I hope that hasn't lost its momentum. When that does come to a vote, or at least discussion or a vote, I hope everyone who has indicated that they would be for it continue to support that. I really hope that I don't hear any objections about the cost of doing something like that. I've been made recently that I've been made aware that not long ago there was a purchase of a new HVAC system of $1.5 million. It was approved 6-1, if I'm understanding that correctly, on the board vote. And there was another option, a more conventional option available for a fraction of the cost. And to make things even more curious, I've been given to understand that there was a no bid contract, that there wasn't any independent engineering study, that this was all done kind of without a lot of due diligence, which one tells me that the money is there if it's being used correctly. I'm still scratching my head on how that happened. I think no bid contracts, whether they're part of the statute or not, I understand they're probably not required in the township. Most governments do implement multiple bids. I can just say not too long ago, the city of Detroit had a famous example of no bid contracts, and I'll just say 2 words about that. Kwame Kilpatrick. There's a recent a newsletter that came up about FOIA and finances. The clerk has been name checked in that one. I hope that she'll have a response to that of some sort in her response to public comments. And then lastly, this is my favorite topic, the whole topic of exit interviews. I told you I was going to name check you. A couple of times now, over the last couple of months, I have said, where are the exit interviews of all these employees who have been leaving the township? And the first time I said that, Kathleen Brandt said, well, we don't have access to them as trustees. Those are confidential HR documents. And then a couple of meetings later, part of the statute was read that said, no, that's not really accurate. Of course, the Board of Trustees has access to exit interviews, HR reports to y'all. At that time, Trustee Brandt said, well, let me check with our attorney, who was actually in the room at the time. And apparently neither of them could answer on the spot what the statute said, which I'm pretty sure in plain English it said, yes, you have access to exit interviews. So commitment at that point, including Treasurer Gable, was to look into it. So here I am, my third meeting in a row, not consecutive, but I'm asking, where are the exit interviews? Has anyone on the board received them? Has anyone reviewed them? Has anyone done any sort of analysis as more or less accountability for the last 2 or 3 sessions? Thank you.
Practice.
Thank you, Mark.
I got lucky that.
Thank you.
I'm good with you. You're free to do what you want.
Okay, don't say that to me. Good evening. Pat Stein, longtime resident. Scio Township has hit the news yet again via Friday's edition of the Dexter Sun-Times. As a resident of Scio, I could not be more pleased with all the positive news that was reported by the Sun-Times. The news piece covered our new geothermal HVAC system, the new system that replaced our failing 25-year-old system. Until now, the purchase of this HVAC system has been a growing source of criticism and misinformation. The Sun-Times detailed all the positive aspects of this purchase. This new system is energy efficient and could reduce Scio Township Hall's greenhouse gas emissions by 61%. This new system has cost-saving benefits. The purchase of this new system was made possible with the aid of financial support from grants and rebates. Our new HVAC system helps our township keep our commitment toward net zero in greenhouse gas emissions. Kudos to research gathered by a task force led by Jan Culberson. Kudos for the teamwork and cooperation of employees, contractors, and the public that made it possible for the building renovations to be completed alongside the installation of the new HVAC system, all while still remaining open for business on a daily basis. And a big thank you to this Board of Trustees for once again making decisions that are in the best interest of Scio Township by approving the purchase of this geothermal HVAC system. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Anyone else present would like to speak?
Good evening, Board. My name is Jada Weatherspoon. I just wanted to introduce myself to you all. I'm from Comcast, and I do their government and community affairs work, and so I'll be the manager covering this region. And so just wanted to give you all an introduction. Just let me know if any questions, concerns, anything you all need from me. You'll have a folder before you which has my card and some information from Comcast. So my phone number, bug me at all different times. If you need me, please call, email, text, whatever. Just get a hold of me if there are any constituent concerns or just any relevant concerns that you all have within the community. Polls go down, fires, whatever, give us a call. If it's our stuff, we'll clean it up. If it's not, we'll call whose it is. And so just wanted to be a resource to you all, so please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out. We've had a couple of residents in the past that have had lines that were installed just laying on the ground and tried to contact. We didn't know who to contact at Comcast, so
went through a reorg, and so
oh, great.
recently joined the team, so I'll be
Oh,
for sure. Let me know, please.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Can I
here.
ask a question? So a couple of years ago, I think we had AT&T or somebody, and they were doing their 5G rollout, and invariably sprinkler lines get cut or things get cut. So do you know if Comcast has any plans to roll out network improvements either in private property or pursuant to the Metro Act with respect to right-of-way in the next few years in Scio?
Yeah, we're kind of reorganizing, and so I'm kind of new to the team, and so I'll definitely take those concerns. Shoot me an email with that information.
In other words, do you have any plans to work in our infrastructure or on private property with respect? And I know you're always upgrading, you're doing pulling cable and you're putting in faster networks and 6G and whatever the G you're up to. But sometimes those impact residents when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a partnership, right, between the residents, and the right-of-way is definitely a concern that comes about when it comes to upgrades, and it's something we've been dealing with for some time at Comcast. But, I can definitely take your concerns back and
So just
do some investigation.
Yeah, like what are our plans for Scio? And if you have any contact Scio, say here's what we're going to be doing approximately and when.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Anyone else present would like to speak?
Christie, is that on? turn it on.
Funny, need a piece of tape? Need a piece of tape.
Hello, Marcia Haddix, I'm a resident, and I just told the Comcast person that we're getting our Comcast lines installed right now on the last
Right.
lanes in the whole county. We're so excited.
Awesome.
Progress.
Yeah.
Where to start? I'll just say I find it very disappointing that the board is removing 3 more supervisor duties related to various leave policies, and that they were going to do that by hiding them in the consent agenda, but now I'm glad to know they're out in the open and they will be discussed at least. The board speaks of being fiscally responsible in certain circumstances, but isn't doing so when spending tens of thousands of dollars repeatedly on recruiting fees, then losing candidates through inaction, and not honestly training and working with new hires so that they don't leave. With regard to the 2 new insurance policies in '04, a clear picture hasn't been given with the attached information since no premium information is included, either amounts nor percent increases for employees. The traditional policy requires cost sharing by employees, effectively decreasing their salaries by either $700 or $1,500 a year. The new HSA policy shows the township contributing an almost equivalent amount of this loss to employees' HSA accounts, but doesn't mention anything about whether the policies are more or less expensive, and it's difficult to compare them without additional information. It also shows that the fiscal impact of the HSA policy is listed with Scio contributions to the HSA, but does not include the amount of money employees will be giving back to Scio in the cost-sharing plan. So that doesn't seem entirely accurate. I was wondering why there was no attachment for L2, the Treasurer's investment report, and I saw that they were back on the table, but that doesn't really help people who aren't present to understand that report. And I'd like to see more progress on bigger issues facing the township, such as TIFs, the 2 Dexter projects being considered for annexation, and data and detention center zoning. Those are the things that I feel like we really need to be focusing on, and not a lot of this other stuff that goes on and takes so much time. And lastly, I strongly encourage everyone to come support Supervisor Carey on March 4th at the pretrial hearing for the 2 felony charges facing her. The hearing is scheduled for 1:30 next Wednesday at the courthouse in downtown Ann Arbor.
Thank you, Marcia.
This is super important.
I have to hold it. Good evening. Renee Klubeck, former member of Compensation Committee. Thank you for listening to me. I have a lot I'd like to comment, and I'm going to watch that clock and stay right to it. First of all, I got to make it clear. Is anyone having me for Thanksgiving dinner this coming fall, Christmas, Easter? Anybody want to raise their hand? I didn't think so. I learned a long time ago, bear with me, I learned a long time ago that in business relationships, you have friendships and they're separate. And then you have business. So I'd like to comment on the communication that came that was a complaint regarding comments that were made by Supervisor Carey by both the HR and Director of, wrong title at this point, Christy Aiken, that they were offended. I'm sure that I'm going to say some things that might offend someone, that is about their job, about their production, about how they said something, and it's not personal. And I take offense with the fact that I, as a person inside a township, don't have the right to have a First Amendment, say what I think in a proper tone, in a proper way, without any violence implied, without having to make a formal apology. So I'd like everyone to consider what was said in that letter. I don't think it was appropriate for them to complain about the supervisor, and I certainly think I can say what I want to say. So with that said, the second thing is I disagree with the communication with Steve Gillis.
I've been talking a lot to people in the community, and I don't believe that 95% of Scio residents are very happy right now. So he said 95% of the population in the Scio Township are completely happy with how things are. I don't believe that's right talking to the community. So I hope you'll continue to talk and understand that not everyone is extremely happy. Quickly, I just want to say, this is the Green Book. This is the Compensation Committee book. And I think it's important to point out something tonight. I pulled it out, and I just want to say, this, in my position, I was given information. You can see right here it was written, error in figures, disregard. So we moved on, and we got new updated. But it took like 3 weeks coming from the Human Resource Department. Then we had salaries of elected officials through 2016 to present. Wrong information again, disregard, new things. Then we have a statement here that is on record. It was given to our committee. Basic methodology used in 2023 to make determinations, as discussed in Kathleen Brandt's email of July 5th, 2023. It lists all the methodology we were supposed to use. Number 4, assume supervisors 20 hours a week, treasurer and clerk minimum 40 hours a week. That is incorrect by law per Jim Fink. It took 3 times at meetings to explain to us we were not to be discussing hours in compensating. So that was given incorrectly to us. We then move on, and we were given on December 17th, 2021, when that vote was done, and you can come back and look at who was present for that, Knowles, Clark, Martin, Brandt, and Boyd. It was again assumed the supervisor to be a part-time position. You need to refer to Michigan Township laws and understand Jim Fink will present a program and explain. It has nothing to do with full and part-time. And so technically, what all was voted on, not only in 2021, but in 2025, could be an illegal action that could come against the township regarding the compensation suggestions that happened. I'd also like to make one comment, if I may, that just says, this township needs a risk management committee, someone professional. I have been asking for 2 years. There is a risk problem with driving vehicles of your personal vehicles for work here, as well as others. It is required by state law that every 6 months, every person must provide a declaration of their personal insurance for their automobile if they're doing this. If you're worried about what's been spent incorrectly, supposedly, by legal fees now, you're not taking into consideration if this wonderful woman here drives over to get copy paper because we're out, and she has a crash at the intersection of Jackson and Z. We got a problem in her car. Again, that's one more issue. I spent my whole career on insurance. This township, in 30 seconds, I'm saying, you are running a township at gold level. City of Ann Arbor, at Ypsi Township, Pittsfield Township, you cannot afford to provide gold medical benefits, unlimited for dental, hearing, vision. You need someone who understands insurance to work on this, and I don't believe your HR department is doing that properly. And you know what? Lots of people work at a school so that they have freedoms of time and hours, and they don't get as great of benefits. We have a financial problem in this township, and this is a problem where it starts. So I suggest we get a risk management professional in here to work on these things. Thank you very much. And don't worry, I won't show up for sure. Thanks for your time.
Anyone else present would like to speak? Christy, let's go online.
Okay, the first person is Rob Pattinson, followed by Pam Boyd. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident. Jessica, why the disclaimer on Jillian's response to Kathleen in the correspondence section? I noticed you left out Kathleen's initial email. Why? If you're willing to enter Aurora and Christie's email requesting retraction, why the sudden conscience of formality? When Jillian asked you to include her response to Kathleen, Jessica, you have a year-long history of putting emails into the correspondence section that attack Jillian. Why the resistance to include her response to one email? Why are attorneys suddenly involved? We all know what happened on Wednesday. It was so loud, everyone in Will heard it. Kathleen has gone from attacking Jillian to attacking Andrea to now attacking our consultants. OHM has had to put in place safeguards to protect the engineering team from further abuse from out-of-control trustees. I imagine one of those safeguards is that no one from OHM will ever be in a room alone again with Kathleen. As I understand it, Kathleen took a blowtorch to staff and consultants at a meeting about Park Road. It was supposed to be an update and it turned into a flat-out mess. OHM is a company that serves a lot of communities in Michigan. They've done excellent work for us for years. Yes, their contract needs to be put out to bid. That means nothing compared to the work they've done for us. We are in the middle of several huge engineering projects, one of which is the second fire station. If OHM drops Scio because their team is not safe in Township Hall, then we are at risk of losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in trying to find replacement engineers for all those projects. And will we be able to replace them with our reputation? It's unlikely. That means it will be even more expensive. So this board has shown its willingness to ban Jillian from the building and weaponize a code of conduct to use against her 105 minutes after it was accepted into the consent agenda. Now you have a real threat to the financial health of this community. You all claim to be fiscally responsible. Now, if that is true, then why the crickets when it comes to Kathleen's behavior? Why the double standard? Do we need OHM to drop Scio for this board to wake up and protect staff and consultants from out-of-control trustees? Kathleen, do you have an explanation for your behavior last Wednesday? I appreciated how you constantly went after Hathaway, but you don't seem to be able to turn it off. It appears that blowtorch is your default approach to all issues in Scio. That's not what we elected any of you for. This board has three choices. Tell us the truth, lie to us, and stretch really hard to blame Jillian who wasn't even in the room yet, or cover it up. If you choose to cover it up by trying to divert attention with an investigation into who talked to Side News, rather than investigating why a trustee is burning bridges with our consultants, then that will be just as revealing. What will you do? What will our fiscally responsible board members do to protect taxpayers? Thank you for adjusting Becky's pay. Now where's Felicia's pay adjustment for all the extra work you asked her to do during the transition and during the recent finance department transition? Where's the pay adjustment for all the extra work you piled onto Christie as you have systematically removed responsibilities from Jillian and dumped them into Christie's lap? Why is there an $810 and $1,590 pay cut to staff in item 04? Your proposal says $714, but the math is wrong. The actual numbers are $780 and $1,560 based on 5 weekly pay periods for 52 weeks. Then add $30 for your administrative fee. Is there a raise to offset that pay cut? Dirty trick number 25. The repeated attempt to remove Jillian from being the LASA chair at yesterday's LASA. This was done under the veil of saying Webster Township needs to step up, with no consideration that Scio has 10 times the resources of Webster Township, and LASA is primarily within Scio Township. Dirty trick number 26. An attempt to hide in the consent agenda the change to FML, like medical leave and leave of absence authority from the supervisor to the head of HR. HR can't stop writing employees up. That signifies a significant lack of empathy and thoughtfulness. That makes HR highly unqualified to make decisions about employees when those employees are at their most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, next up is Pam Boyd. Go ahead, Pam.
Thank you. Pam Boyd, a Scio resident, Scio Community Newsletter, Scio Government Watchdog. As you board members know, I've been writing Scio Community Newsletter for the last 5 years. I'm very pleased to announce Scio Community Newsletter will be moving its efforts to the newly launched ScioNews.com website over the next 2 months. I'm excited to be one of a small group of Scio resident journalist volunteers who are passionate about documenting our Scio government and Scio community. Scio Community Newsletter, a cottage publication, will now be able to connect to a much larger Scio Township audience going forward. It's such an honor to be working with ScioNews.com. I hope members of this board will join the quickly growing number of residents who are subscribing to ScioNews.com to get the in-the-moment updates when a news article has been posted. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Okay, anyone else that wants to speak at public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. There are no hands raised.
Yes, board member response. And you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, just briefly at the LASA meeting yesterday, when the issue of FOIAs came up, it was related to FOIA requests for LASA. When I said that LASA doesn't get many FOIA requests, just one on occasion.
I guess we're due.
So yeah, we got a doozy definitely from Andrea Lucan about her sewer backup, so it'll be an extensive one. But LASA will be dealing with that for sure.
Any other board?
And I would just say too, there were a couple comments made, I think Marcia and Rob, I'm just glad, let's make sure that we get really clear on the cost sharing on the healthcare plans, because we had 2 meetings with all of staff and all of the board members. So I just want to make sure that we clarify what those costs are when we get to that item. Because there's a couple different things that.
Treasurer Gable, you had your...
Yep. Thank you. There was an engineering study conducted for HVAC by a professional engineer. Bids were solicited. We did only receive 1 bid, but bids were solicited on our website. Local contractors were contacted to provide bids. Doesn't mean that everyone will. Certainly didn't happen in this case. L2, due to the tax deadline, that report wasn't completed until after the agenda was published. It will be on the website later this week as our all investment reports. Webster Township is a partner in LASA. Scio Township currently performs cash receiving, accounts payable, and IT services for LASA, as well as provides several of the officer positions for LASA. Webster Township is going to be participating more, and I'm happy to see that. But certainly, even if they are maybe a smaller organization by head count or by taxable value or by other metrics, we just want them, at least I would say, they should participate because there's only Scio Township and Webster Township as participants in that, as well as the communities, of course. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Either, no? I have something to say. I've heard a couple of times, and I even had, there was board members that had contacted me about the FMLA, the removing the supervisor. I am in favor of that. It makes sense to go under the HR director who works with our attorney, employment attorney. However, I do have concerns about the processes. I would like to know more about the processes and how that happens. So if a staff member does need to request FMLA short term or the other one, that what is that process so that the board members are aware of that. That's really my only concern, but I wanted to clear that up. I understand where you're coming from, but I am in full support of this. Thank you.
And it's also been recommended by our employment attorney for many months.
Well, but it hasn't happened until there was a request, and then it brought up the supervisor again. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. Okay, anything else?
Trustee Reed and I we have a draft of a resolution on the first meeting in March, and it would allocate a sum of money, potentially up to $20,000, and I got to vet that to make sure that's inaccurate or not to exceed or something, to hire an outside consultant or outside law firm to take a look into the culture, the relationships among the Scio Township electeds and between the Scio Township electeds and employees. It would make it kind of mandatory or for us to participate, voluntary for employees to participate. Former employees could submit, written comments if they wanted to the consultant. It would be our intention, and I want to speak for you, David, so feel free to weigh in as well in response, but to try to make it at least confidential for employees to the extent we can. The scope is certainly subject to board discussion. Whether it happens at all is subject to board discussion. But I just want to kind of let this board know we sent a draft to our township attorney and to the office coordinator last Friday, and we didn't want to rush it for today because kind of, might need to be vetted and tweaked and improved. So if if it's ready to go forward, then it'll come out on the Wednesday packet, and people, don't send your FOIAs yet because it might not be the last one that gets to the board packet. So stay tuned for that. Don't applaud. See, that's the thing. We don't want any, keep the drama down. And applause introduces drama when it's not needed. So I'm sorry, you have the right to applause, but I'm not looking for applause. I'm just looking for harmony among the board and between the board and employees. So that's what you should applaud when that happens. And it already happens, but when that happens more than it is already. So David, I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, I'm in agreement with you as well. The issue, of course, we need to have them come in and investigate, well, not investigate, but to look into events that have happened and see if they can tie together why these events happened or how they happened or what was the result of these events, rather than just ask questions. I think it might be better if we had some specific things for them to look into. We can talk about that, because this is something that came up recently, and so we didn't have a chance to talk.
Yeah, this is something this doesn't have anything to do with anything that happened or didn't happen in Township Hall last week. This is something that David and I are been mulling about.
Right.
Without regard to anything.
Yeah, this goes back a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it started when my B motion went down.
Right.
That was humor.
Okay.
I do have a question though. It's my understanding that our HVAC system has gotten some significant credits.
Yes.
Federal tax.
Going to. Yep.
So, do you have any idea what the actual, if we get all those credits and we don't get tax rebates, we get tax, I forget how that works, because we don't pay tax, so we don't get a federal tax rebate, right?
Well, we do.
Well, we
Ryan
do.
can speak to that.
Okay, Ryan, what?
I could speak to it. I believe actually it may even be in the press release. The exact figures. I don't have them pulled up here, but it's substantial.
It's in our capital plan.
It's also in our capital plan.
What was it, like, it's over $600,000.
It's over $600,000.
Plus $100,000 of state.
State eco grant. And the thing is, the system should be, they were waiting on the controls technicians, I suppose, to arrive. For the last 2 days, they've been delayed on some other project. The system should be going live this week or early next.
Brandon, do you know when it's going live? HVAC?
I don't.
Okay.
Christine would have the best update.
Yeah. That's what I've been told by the construction crew that are walking around.
So even the 600,000, just with that brings the cost down to 900?
Yeah, but we've established,
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep hearing this number, and I want to make sure that, that we get an apples to apples comparison of what the estimate or the gas fire or the conventional machine versus the geothermal machine. My understanding, they were almost comparable.
Yeah.
Well, but that quote
That's
came
true.
from the same company that
Cost is a cost.
Well, but how would we know if we didn't ask for other quotes?
Well, you did.
No. Not for the normal. That's not what the project manager said to me.
Well, because the board took action to choose to go forward. It's in the minutes, but.
Okay, all right. Okay.
All right, so it has to be complete before we receive is that how those incentives work?
The system has to be in service, and also our fiscal year has to complete at the end of March. And then I will notify Raymond Robson, who is doing the work on behalf of the township. They'll move forward with filing necessary paperwork. I may need to bring it to the board for approval, and then we should be able to submit and hopefully receive it later in the spring or the summer, I would hope.
Could we ask you guys to use the mic? We can't hear you back here, and they can hear you online.
The
People online can't hear you.
And you're particularly hard.
We'll speak it.
I'll try to speak louder. I'm not sure the
But
mics.
the people online can't hear you.
I don't think
I
the
mean,
mics are
you
gonna
guys-
feed online.
It's not
There's a microphone right there.
Will this feed them through that?
It goes up to here.
We can only do what we can do.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to say.
We use microphones.
No, I know, I'm gonna get, but they don't pick them up, they forget. I don't know what to say. There you go. You got one over there? There you go, John.
Thank you.
You have to sing first before you speak. Okay, board member response. Let's move on to approval of the minutes.
I move approval of the February 10th, 2026 regular board minutes of the Scio Township Trustees meeting.
Support my reading.
Every time we move that, it echoes. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
I move the consent agenda as amended earlier by this board.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to regular reports and special reports. So there are quite a few reports included. Are they hearing me? So there's OHM, GCSI, Parks, LPC, PC, Planning Commission. For anybody that would like to read those. I do have a report. I went to the Washtenaw County Road Commission Workshop 201. We are now sophomores. It was a blast. We learned a lot. There's new funding from the state level. And there's more funding coming next year. There's tax on marijuana, so they were encouraging everybody to buy marijuana so they can get more money. Don't drive though when you're high. And then they call it the neighborhood funding, which they really don't know how that's going to work yet. But we do have more funding this year, so we're really excited. It's going to pretty much double the matching grant that they provide each township. So for Scio, I think it's $266,000 or 200. Well, it's over 200,000, which is really exciting. What else was there? We learned a lot about just how roads are built, the different types of roads, the cost of improvements, gravel uplifts, all of the things that, the road commission does. They had a very well put together presentation, very impressive, and then we had a great lunch. They catered in La Marsa. Yeah, so sorry, I apologize for my garlic breath, but no, it was really great. It was very inspiring, and then we were able to connect with the different townships, supervisors and whatnot. So I look forward to next year when we become juniors. So that's my report for right now. More will come with the Road Advisory Committee. Next week we meet on Wednesday at 6:30, and then we are working on some plans for road funding for the township and whatnot. We will be presenting to the board sometime in the near future. Okay, anyone else? Reports? Treasurer Yapel.
Sure. Sorry, I don't want this to be too loud. So we still have approximately 500 parcels unpaid, including some rather large parcels in the township, a couple of them over $160,000. It's a little concerning. But about 500 parcels unpaid as of when I ran the report yesterday. When I handed over the roll last year to Washtenaw County, it was about 320, 330. And we didn't have these large or unpaid parcels, so that's a little, like I said, just a little concerning. They do have until March 2nd because of the fact that the 28th is on a weekend. We're taking payments on that Monday, and they're going to be considered still at the township. But anything after Monday, March 2nd has to go to Washtenaw County. I have a question for the board, and there wasn't really a need for an agenda item, but I've been contacted by Washtenaw County Brownfield Authority and Ryan Tobias to have his agenda item, which was last heard on January 13th. He wants to come back to the board on March the 10th. Is there enough support at this table to have that back on the agenda, or do we not wish to discuss it further?
Was that the one that didn't get a second? Which I take as a general lack of support.
So for
I agree.
the development or the TIF part?
The TIF, the
The
development is
site plan
approved.
is valid, the development's approved. This is just for the TIF.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you are.
I would be opposed to it. I think we've heard from them, is it 3 times? We're in the midst of developing TIF criteria. And I would just echo John's point that the lack of a second is indication of lack of support. I'd also remind us that we have the public hearing and the budget on March 10th, as well as a couple other big items.
So we have looking into the TIFs, after we look into the TIFs or have a policy or whatever, then is that you're suggesting or just
It's
no
his,
support
it's his
whatsoever?
timeline.
I'm just asking specifically for this date at this point.
Okay.
And anyone on the board is welcome to bring things to the agenda for rules of order. I just am not inclined to bring something that has little to no interest me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. See, this is fun. I just am not inclined to bring something forth that has little to no interest for the board. So I will respond to him tomorrow and let him know that. I do have one final thing in my report. I'm going to hand this to Clerk Flintoff. I'm submitting my letter of resignation to the Lock Alpine Sanitary Authority Board effective today. And I would ask that the Scio Township Board of Trustees votes to accept that. Thanks, everybody.
So this is a letter from our treasurer, Ryan Yapel, resigning from LASA effective 2/24/2026. He's one of 3 members from the board. I do think it would be proper to have a motion to accept the resignation, and we'll deal with next steps at a future meeting date.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, so you got a motion by Reed, support by Grant.
Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resignation is accepted.
Ryan, can I guess that should have been big. Were you their treasurer? Did you have any role other than ex officio? You were the Scio rep? You didn't?
I could share that the role that I'll still maintain that's set forth by an agreement with this board and LASA is to do cash receiving for LASA. I will still perform that.
Okay.
Those tasks. But that did not have anything to do with being the treasurer for LASA per se. It's not something that's automatically assigned. It's a separate office or separate entity.
Okay.
The one other thing, just point of order, I think the chief has a report. I don't know if it's on the agenda.
Oh.
I don't know. Do you?
We deferred to next meeting.
Okay. Just want to make sure something talked about it. Thanks.
Great. Okay, any other reports?
No.
No? All right, let's move on.
Just accepting that. That's the one. The investment report.
Yeah, go ahead.
And sorry.
Yep.
There we go. We don't normally formally accept this. I just want to present it for the board to be aware, and it's meeting the statutory duty of having a quarterly investment report. So they'll be uploaded to the website hopefully later this week. Thanks.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
Ryan, was this in the packet?
No, but I handed you a physical.
No, I have a copy. I usually.
There's another dozen or so copies back
I have
there,
a copy
and
of some of
we'll
them.
add it to the handouts and also on the website under investment reports in the finance section of the website.
We have lunch up here.
Oh,
Okay. A regular, let's see. Yes, new business, new business, and we are beginning with case 7, 8, and 9 from the consent.
yes, sir.
So trustee Reiser, take it away.
I pulled this one because I just want kind of a summary of the changes to K7, 8, and 9. I'm going to support it, but from our HR director. Here's a mic.
Somebody give her a microphone.
Yeah, I was going to give her a mic.
Here,
Just
that's on now. Let's read.
just a little bit of what's being done and what's the impetus.
So for 7, 8, and 9, I did have a conversation with the labor attorney regarding this, and his response, K7 was, when I said I wanted to change this to human resources, he said, as it should be.
Okay.
Because that's typically where the confidential HIPAA-related information, anything confidential, would be housed at. So that was the reason why I requested that. And rather than just having one person, if I'm on vacation or in my absence, the operations director who I would report to would be the next person in line that should receive any requests. There isn't a way necessarily for employees to request this. I've seen it in email. I've seen a letter that just, here's a letter, I need some FMLA. I've also had a verbal where, but then I would say, okay, I need something in writing, could you just send me an email? It's a pretty informal request, but then the process to respond is completely formal. There are certain documents, certain information that the employer can ask for, which is limited because it is HIPAA related. And then we go from there in informing the employee by document if it qualifies for that.
So I'm assuming that since it's federal, that there's federal guidelines that have to be followed and certain deadlines and whatnot. We can't just accept it and say, we'll get back to you like next year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have more questions, but, so this is a snippet of the 34-page Township Employee Handbook. So this is going to go into here, right?
You had mentioned the 15 to 30 days
Yep,
also.
okay, that's right, yeah.
And the change to that is basically the period where we would give an employee notification that because they haven't paid a premium for their health insurance, that they're risking being dropped from the insurance. And the labor attorney said you need to up that for 15 to 30 days. And that is if their payment is more than 30 days late, the coverage could be dropped. But we need to provide written notice to the employee that payment wasn't received and then allow at least 30 days from the date of the letter before the coverage would be stopped. And I've processed FMLA leaves previously, and I've never seen that because the employer makes every effort to make sure the employee is given enough of a grace period and reminded that they need to send the premium in.
Go ahead, after you, I have a question. Okay.
Yeah, I would just note with our handbook, which is always a work in progress, there's always old language in there. You know, township manager, supervisor, these different titles. And I just recall Bill Thacker, our labor attorney, sent us his markup back in December. I believe these changes or something similar to these were in there. So they seem very innocuous and common sense to me. I would also say in my time on the board, I don't know David, what your recollection is. I certainly don't know the details of any of the requests, but I know that we have processed these requests. It has been processed by our HR person. Is that correct? As long as you've been here, we've had your position so our HR person, and I just want employees to rest assured that these have been handled properly, confidentially. The information goes to HR, and before that, who was filling the HR function, our prior finance director. So I just want people to know that, pieces of paper with confidential information have not been floating around to elected officials.
Correct.
And then K8, which is section 28, short-term medical leave, and K9, section 27, leave of absence. Look to be similar changes and will be reflected soon in the Scio Township Employee Handbook once we pass this. And I'll make a motion unless there's more discussion than there is.
I have a question. Regarding the FMLA, if a staff member does not have health insurance, then they don't qualify for FMLA?
No, that, the health insurance part of this is if they carry health insurance with the township. And if there's a premium required, they don't have to have health insurance for FMLA. That's that federal law that.
Okay, that was just a little interesting. Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Being, and I think Ryan said being, or Julian said being federal, I suspect there's lots of red tape. Is there a specific form, or did you say you could just send an email and I thought.
They can.
Okay.
Yes, I have specific forms to send, but they do not. The employee does not have to put it on a specific form. I could fill that out. There is a form, but I typically fill that form out once I'm notified that leave is required under FMLA.
So would it say, on this date, I'm going to the hospital for open heart surgery, I expect to be out for this many long, and I expect to be back around this time? Is that what it would say?
Yes, it may or may not have that much detail.
Like mine did when I had open heart surgery?
But right, there's a time span from this date to this date, I need this time off, and then that would generate.
Do they have to say what it's for?
When the information comes back from their healthcare provider, it does typically state.
I mean, you gotta make sure it's legit.
Right, that it's a health condition that qualifies under that.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry.
Did you have another?
I just had a motion. Go ahead.
Okay.
Can you do it 3 or 3?
On the.
One or 3?
Wait a minute. Do I have 2 of the same?
I'll support all 3.
Well, the leave of absence, that's something different than vacation. Yes, that's what I thought, but the more I read this, I was like, the request of leave of absence, but I'm going away for a month to Florida, so as a vacation. And then, but the leave of, so the PTO, that would cover, like if they're, let's say they have to take a leave of absence for a family, taking care of a family member, they would use their PTO first, and then the rest of it would.
Right, but that could qualify under the FMLA.
FMLA, okay.
Well, the leaves of absences are for things that are not covered under the FMLA.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adopt the amendments to the handbook, sections 29, 28, and 27 as set forth in the model motions of items K7, K8, and K9.
Support by Rex. Oh, sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I guess all in favor say support. Was that a support by?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Those are.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah,
Thank you, Aurora.
I think our authorized position.
It is next.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just stay here.
Yeah.
Okay, then Nikki our finance director will come up. Is there enough room there?
They'll make There's room.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Nikki.
Okay, so I think this is a hot topic, so let's get into it. The authorized positions list. You all should have received, I don't know, did you guys get those big 11 by 7 papers? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna go over the actual authorized positions list very briefly. We went back and forth as a group, Aurora, Christy, and I myself, we met over the positions. And the authorized positions list, we left out any positions that the staff requested to have a new position or new title or specific change. We're going to address that separately, and I pulled that out of this authorized positions list. You all have it. I apologize for bringing you guys a big 11 by 17.
No worries.
Okay, but just to explain this a little bit, because I think there's been some controversy over it. One of the things, there were changes made in red, or we pointed out positions that may have been vacant, but if you're planning to fill them at any point in the next budget season, which would be starting April 1 to March 31st, 2027, you should still budget for it. So any position that is vacant right now, but we may continue to keep on, has been put in here. For example, IT, even though we're out servicing the services, for example, currently, but at some point, if we ever wanted to hire an IT director, they're listed. One of the columns I do want to talk about is the request for approval based upon the study by Romberg study. Their recommendation is that we do a market increase of 2.5% for all of our positions. At some point, you guys were giving grades and step increases, I think, last year that looked like this. And so with that being said, we want to ensure that we're in line with what the market industry is going. So I am proposing that we give each salary, with the exception of the elected officials and the positions that are set forth by the Compensation Commission, the 2.5 recommendation set by the firm to stay in line with industry standards or market. So at any rate, if you guys want to fill positions or someone wants to leave, that you're right in step with what the industry is going for with the position that's being required. So that column is currently in yellow. There's one or two ways that we can do it. From my previous experience, is usually at the beginning of the fiscal year. Any of these type of increases, since they're not merit and they're based upon market or industry standard, to stay in step with what the market is doing. So that you are competitive if you ever want to go out and to get new positions, is we do it right at the beginning of the budget season or right at the first day of the fiscal year. From my understanding, that there was some motions last year to say that individuals should not receive a pay increase unless they've been a staff member for at least a year. This is a time where we can either discuss if you want to keep that and make it where you don't get an increase to after your 1 year of service, or to keep it just clean accounting. Everyone gets the increase on the first day of the new fiscal year. Either way, I have to budget for what is expected at any point within that time span of April 1 to March 31st, 2027. So the column in yellow, requesting for approval, can either happen whatever the board deems. My recommendation would be the first day of the new budget year. We can just do a quick finance insert to everyone's salary, with the exception of those that I outlined, which are the elected officials and the appointees, those who are set by the compensation board.
And the fire union members.
And the fire union members. So those would be the only exceptions to the 2.5 increase. And that was really the highlight of this authorized positions sheet. And then we'll go into those departments that have requested positions later. And that is a vote I set before you, unless you have any questions for me.
Is it okay if we deliberate on that point?
Sure, the two.
While we're talking about it? I would thank you so much, everybody, for your work on this. I do agree that we should budget for that 2.5% for all non-union, and then for union, of course, for their planned increases, as you have in here. I would say though, I think that the deputy clerk and deputy treasurer, though they are appointed, that they should also, we should also budget for that 2.5% increase for those two. That is a very different sort of a job than a planning commission member who gets paid per meeting. Of course, accepted would remain the elected officials. This again replaces our prior COLA policy, and I think it would be worth the board asking our HR director to come back to the board with a precise policy of who this applies to and when it applies. Because my sense is, if we are in agreement that we want to budget for it, but we just need to figure out when it's going to take effect for each person and who it applies to, I think it would be helpful to have that written out as a policy that we could include in our handbook.
Mm-hmm.
What are others' thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just so we're not writing policy on the spot.
Yeah, we're all nodding, so anybody online knows. Okay, do we need a motion for that, or just?
I would just make a motion to include the budgeted 2.5% in the yellow column for all indicated, plus for the deputy clerk and deputy treasurer, and to ask that the human resources manager return to the board with an appropriate modification to the handbook to clarify the criteria for an application of the proposed market data increase.
I'll support.
One clarification. Nikki, all indicated is regardless of hire date.
Well, I guess that's what they're going to defer to.
That's what the policy would figure out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, are we voting, you see, what I gather, we're voting on the salaries as presented on the sheet of paper,
Voting on the appropriations.
on appropriation.
Yeah. They want to keep it separate. So versus saying that April 1 would be the day everyone gets that we've already identified who those everyone would be, we get the 2.5%. They're saying they want to defer to Aurora to decide how HR wants to move forward as to when they get it. But I am okay to budget for it.
Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure we don't accidentally miss anybody. I just want to make sure we define it real clearly.
And new hires, so if they start the day before April 1st, do they get that 2.5?
Aurora's going to be coming back.
I mean, that, yeah, all those different,
Questions would be sorted out.
okay.
Okay? Okay? So,
Yes, and there was, I supported, I guess roll call, please.
Roll call?
so for the sort of
Just
set the 2.5%, because after you guys approve these positions, I have another piece to do that maps out all the purges with the salaries, so that's all with the budget and proper. So I make sure everybody's good with the 2.5% that I can budget for it. I think that's what their motion is, correct? So you guys are voting on that? Yeah, okay.
John, you need this motion read again.
No, I was surprised that we're gonna do a roll call rather than a voice vote of what I think is gonna pass, but you're the chief.
Let's do a roll call. Then we know
No,
where
fine,
everybody
that's
stands, because
Yep, I'm
Okay.
taking more time than a roll call, sorry.
Yep. Per our rules of order, tonight we're starting with Reed. Reed?
Yay.
Riser?
Yes.
Carey?
yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff? Yes. Grant?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
My apologies for the interruption.
All right, next, are we going to?
I'd make another motion while we're looking at everything on here to replace the office coordinator with operations manager. This could retitle the position, known formally as office coordinator, and move the salary to grade 7, step 7, and to eliminate the position of office coordinator and to direct the HR manager to return to the board of trustees with the final proposed job description.
I support that.
It's not in the agenda packet, so.
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh, it is, right, never mind.
Do you want to read that?
Hopefully that's not out of line, out of order, I mean.
No, that was the next step.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because the positions that was requested by our department, I did not put that in our authorized positions list. based upon whatever you guys come back with tonight, then I will add that and finalize it and add it to my total compensation plan for each and every individual staff member. So, sounds like you guys are fine with the salary change and step increase from the formerly office coordinator to,
I think we have to vote, yeah.
oh, we haven't voted.
Yeah, there's just a motion.
So this, and then are we looking at the administrative clerk? Isn't it, so Fran's job?
Well, it would be a second. Hers is planning and zoning. This one would be more of a generalized.
Okay, there's a lot of planning and zoning in
Correct.
this as well.
That's
So it's just
correct.
another support. Okay.
I mean, I support Ryan's motion because it is a replacement of the office coordinator with a proposed operations manager. Is that the proposed job title? And the movement of the salary, and to direct the HR manager to return to the board with final proposed job description. I see a draft in here, which I liked, and I liked that it included more risk management, more contract management, more of the kind of core functions that we need. And so that's why I'm in support of it. I also think the job of office coordinator was one of those that grew around a tremendously competent person named Christy Aiken, and that really a much more accurate title for the function that we need now and ongoing would be this one.
Okay. So there was a motion and a support.
Discussion. So we're still looking for an operations director. So would the operations manager likely report to the operations director? And there's not going to be confusion about the titles between the director and the manager, and we'll deal. Is that the?
What was your thinking on the recommended title, Aurora?
We initially brought it in as a different title, but then we went with a recommendation to make it an operations manager instead.
What was the different title?
Assistant operations director.
I mean, I do agree. A lot of times people, manager, director, people aren't quite sure.
Supervisor, manager, director.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I worry about. I'm going to support this. I'm not keen on the language that might cause confusion. I think it just could be number 2, but that was humor.
Could it come back in the final job description?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to support this, but I worry that there's confusion. Well, you're the manager. Well, you're the director. Well, you're the supervisor. That's all.
I agree.
No.
And we kind of threw out the assistant operations director, assistant operations supervisor, but then again, the confusion with supervisor. So we did, we can look at that again and see if there's something that would
In the
fit.
final job description.
John, in the job description, it says the manager reports to the director.
Okay, yeah.
But in the business world, the supervisor reports to a manager reports to a director reports to a VP. So, that in the business world, there's no confusion. Here, there's a confusion because we have a supervisor who is, it's a whole different situation. So,
Right.
I mean, the title supervisor is different in this world than it is in the business world.
Okay.
So I would stand by the motion that's been seconded, understanding that when the final job description comes back, we might also finalize the title at that point.
Okay. Call the question?
I do have a quick comment though. I do want to interject regarding the manager title. When looking at the Romberg study, there's a certain grade level and everyone in that grade level was titled as manager. And that was one of the discussional pieces that we had as to why we called it manager and not something else. Because if we say director, those are 9s and 10s and this position is not a 9 or 10. So I think you're creating confusion when you start putting someone at a title or putting manager and director, having them at a different grade level than those who are managers and directors at a higher level. So I think that would create a bigger problem of confusion, which is why we went with the manager's title.
That's a good point.
And generally, here in Scio, the directors have staff under them. They report to the director, where a manager, like the project manager, there's no staff. So there was a little difference with that. Do we have another manager somewhere? Sorry,
Yeah.
me. Oh, yeah. You're right in front of me. Yeah, and the same.
Finance manager.
And the, right, yeah, so, yeah.
So grade 7, and
Same
then
as
that, this one would be
yeah.
grade 7.
Okay, well, we're not doing a roll call vote, we're gonna do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
That motion passes.
So entered into the budget.
I would like to talk about the 2 admin requests. It looks like there's one for general admin clerk and one under utilities.
Utilities got pulled today by request of the actual utility manager.
Okay.
Which time we're going to table later because I want to do a restructuring of finance to bring to board for the board at a later time. You know, that there's some confusion on what responsibilities and duties and titles and what they all mean. And then since we share actual person in terms of responsibility, then at that time when finance does their overall landscape of what the department should look like, we're going to include utilities if the board so allows us to then come before you and how we would like to present that since we share an employee.
Great.
Yeah. Everybody okay with that?
I would also say some of the administrative stuff that needs to be done in utilities, not the finance billing stuff, but the administrative stuff. I would hope like the phones, we all can share those, especially with better phone technology, that might be helped by kind of a general admin. I would support the general admin. We have so much work, and certainly whether it's the front counter, the website, Excel, FOIA fulfillment, records management, whatever it is. But we still have Christy orders our office supplies. Christy fixes our phones. Christy, and it's just not it doesn't optimize her time. And I think we would all benefit from more admin.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. And when it comes to utilities, that's specialized, and that person is going to have to know what they're talking about when they're taking calls, and then knowing who to go to or what needs to be set up as far as appointments and whatnot. So that has to be, keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So this general admin, we need to approve this.
I make a motion to accept the request for the new position, Administrative Clerk General, and to direct the HR manager to return to the Board of Trustees with the final proposed job description.
Support?
So this is not the final?
No, it's a draft. It's a.
Okay, yes.
This
yes,
one
but
might
it's-
be, this one might be pretty close.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, all in favor who's here? Say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yes, it was motion,
Motion by Ryan,
Support.
support by Flintoff.
and we've all said aye.
Okay.
So that passes,
Actually, it passed
5-0.
5-0.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Nothing gets by usually.
And then we have one more position that was a deputy supervisor. At the time when I initially had this meeting with our supervisor, it was asked that the person be volunteer. And so there was no budget impact. I asked whether or not she wanted them to receive fringes or anything from health insurance or any of those things. And she said no. We later had a meeting between myself, her, and Aurora, which I will defer to Aurora, where we are going to decide whether or not, or Aurora will, whether or not we're going to take this position and scope it out. So,
Yeah, and the reason why I presented it that way is because the board approves the salary, and I really don't feel that this board would be supportive of a salary for a deputy supervisor, especially when they had voted down my salary increase at a part-time job, which it's not. So that's why I recommended that, and also, somebody that would be willing to come in and help me with my overload of work, and then possibly learn, so maybe they would even run for office eventually.
Yes. And as it was, I mentioned that to Laura, and Laura had recommendations on how we can better support you in that endeavor.
And I know we did some preliminary information that the supervisor and I had gathered, so I would like to basically with this position do what I would do with any other position. How many hours are you looking for? What kind of pay for this person? Obviously the title name would be deputy supervisor, an appointed position. Job responsibilities and then comparables. So that would be my recommendation on how we move forward with this.
And is it okay with the board then at the time when Aurora comes back with pricing out and finalizing all the other positions that we present the deputy supervisor role after she has time to scope it out and present it to the board with the salary and what budget impact it would be?
Sure, just to be clear, statutorily, I may appoint a deputy.
Right.
So the board doesn't have a say about that, but they do have a say about the compensation.
Right.
And it can't be over how much I make, because they might as well have just given me a raise then.
So
The
because
supervisor role.
at this time, if it's a volunteer position, then it seems like there's no action at this time and we'll stay tuned. Is that correct, Jillian? Okay.
And Aurora's gonna bring it back with the other positions and have it with a recommended salary at the time when she comes back with the final for these other positions.
And I appreciate both of you for that.
allows us to.
Thank you.
Are there any other positions?
No, the natural areas position
Yeah.
was listed initially, however, that's been filled with 2 full-time people that are here. However, it was listed because the pay that we had budgeted for them is less than what's being requested at the time. So I wasn't sure if we should put it for seasonal nets, as they're referred to. I wasn't sure if this was the right place to put them, but we have them at like an $18.50, and they want an increase of $20 to $23.50 if this board so chooses to allow us to increase it, or go with whatever Aurora's recommendation is.
Are these temporary positions? The
Yes.
temporary for,
It's 2 seasonal temporary positions.
oh,
So they're
there it
not
is. I'm sorry.
impacted by my authorized positions list because they're seasonal. However, they're requesting a higher pay than what's been budgeted in the past, from
Gotcha.
$18 to $23.50.
So it would bring them into alignment with our regular year-round mats.
Initially,
No?
it was a little bit lower, yes, but a little bit lower rate of pay. But whatever the parks director ends up, it could be someone that she wants to hire that has the experience level that our current regular
Gotcha.
mats do.
Because right now it's at $18, and they want to pay them a higher rate, so.
I would support that.
But they would be making the same as the full-time
$18.
all year, or permanent staff? Sorry, Christy, what did you say? Go ahead.
I said it's not 18 an hour.
No, it's, the
Currently.
range is from $19.50 to $21.50 for the seasonal staff. And then the 2 permanent staff were hired in at $21.50, awaiting the results for the Romberg study to see where we should place them based on their experience and educational status. And what I asked was that the permanent positions have until we get the Romberg study, because as far as I know, we don't have that information yet, that their range be updated to $21.50 to $24.50, wherever it feels appropriate to put them within that range.
So we would need approval to increase the salary from the board, or would you like to table it since the study is about that? And whenever we'll bring it with the other positions.
Are we not voting on the positions themselves?
Would you like us to?
I mean, I put this motion on the table because this is management's recommendation. I make the motion to accept the requested positions for 2 FTE natural area technicians seasonal from March through November 2026 at management's recommendation of a maximum of $22.50 per hour.
I would support that.
So maximum 22.50 per hour.
Correct.
Discussion?
I thought we were going to pay them the same as the regular employees.
Is that
They're seasonal.
fair?
I mean, well, they're seasonal. I don't know if it's an issue of fairness.
Yeah.
Okay, then,
I don't have the pay in front of me, I can check
But it's
my
going from
phone.
18 to 2250?
No, it was never 18.
It may
Oh,
have been
I
a
was
long
told
time ago.
18, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I misspeaking.
It's no problem.
It's 2150 to 2250?
She just said, what did you just
say that
say,
again,
Murphy?
please.
So the seasonal staff last year were hired in at a salary range from $19.50 to $21.50. They all got placed at $21.50. For the seasonal staff for this upcoming fiscal year, my recommendation was up to $23.50, $24.50 for the permanent staff, because their job descriptions, while they look the same, the two permanent staff are going to be the field supervisors for seasonal staff and providing the training for them. So I think it makes sense for them to not be stuck at $22.50, $1 more than they were making.
And you're talking about the temps.
I'm talking about the regular staff at up to $24.50,
Right.
the seasonal staff at up to $23.50.
But before us today is seasonal staff. Do seasonal staff, Aurora or Murphy, need 4-year degrees? And do our permanent people have 4-year degrees?
Yes.
That's a difference to me.
Yes, it is, I agree.
So I don't know if it's a $2 difference or a $3 difference, but to somebody's point here about the part-time, that's a factor to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like to point out, because the next was just hired. However, when Aurora comes back, they should be a part of my 2.5 increase because they're FTEs.
Right.
So that should take care of whatever the hourly rate is, bringing them in alignment to her requests anyway. The seasonals are not impacted on my authorized positions. So that would be something that the board would then need to support, whether or not you want to do a higher range for them when she goes back out to recruit new people. But the FTEs, now they're here, I think they were just started this month.
They were here as the temporary and then were hired, or
Yes,
they
they've
applied.
been hired back as FTEs permanent in February this month, right? So they are going to be a part of the new April 1 budgeted 2.5 increase, as all staff would be, with the exception of fire and elected officials.
Depending, because if she comes back and says anybody within the year hired doesn't have an increase, then that would not.
Well, we would
No,
vote
they
on
would
the
still
policy.
fall into the same budget. They're
Yeah.
gonna fall into the new fiscal budget year, because this is impacting from April 1, 2026 to March 31st, 2027. So I need to budget whether, regardless of the timing of when they get the increase, the money should be there for them to have the increase. And we can, as a board, you guys can figure out when you want them to get the increase. But they would fall into that, they just started in February, so it'll be February of next year if they decide to do the whole 1 year thing, before they get a market increase.
Well, and also to Trustee Reiser's point, 4-year degree versus they don't have to have a degree, that's and only making $1 difference, but the Romberg study hopefully will show the difference.
But that's
Or show-
implying that we're gonna bring them at the max. We're
Right,
requesting
that's
a
true,
range.
that's true. Yeah.
So, and for me, as from a budgeting standpoint, I'm gonna budget for the highest amount anyway, because that's what budget is, and where you choose to put them and where they fall is the choice at the time of hiring. So, budget-wise, I can budget for the highest amount that they could potentially get that you agree to, and you all can decide when you hire them as to where you like them to fall.
Good point.
Sorry. Do you mind?
No, I think Murphy had something.
I just have one concern about what was said. There's a difference between a 2.5% raise for all the staff that has been placed within their proper grade and step, and a 2.5% raise on a $21.50 hourly rate that was meant to be as a placeholder up until, the end of last year, but I'm not sure if we even have the study even now. So I don't understand why we would give 2.5% raise to a wage that we don't even know if that falls into the right spectrum.
Well, to your point, we don't know when we're gonna get this study back, and I'd rather give them something than nothing than have it budgeted there. And whenever the study does come back with the new rate increase, then we'll have money set aside for it. So, and at that time, when your study comes back as to where they should be scoped out in price, the adjustment will be made in the budget. But to not give them something at this time and include them and miss them and not budget for them would not be us doing our proper due diligence.
So not give them, the people who don't work here yet.
No, I'm budgeting, no, the FTEs that do work here, the two
Okay,
people
okay.
that she already
Yeah.
had, that started this month. I just need to budget their salaries for them to have an increase. When the study comes back, we'll make a second adjustment as the board agrees upon at that time.
No, Roy, do you know when that study's coming back? Have you heard?
No, but I can check.
Please, thank you.
So just for clarity,
No, just, was there, I thought I heard a motion?
You did,
but I didn't-
it's seconded.
I'll repeat the motion
Yep.
just for clarity, and actually one clarifying statement before I do. This would raise the NATS seasonal position 4.6% over last year, 2250 from 2150 at the high end. So that's just putting that out there. But I agree on all the other points about the full-time staff, which are a separate issue.
And one other point on this motion, which I still support, Ryan, is that, and not at this juncture, but maybe when this comes back, in the future, I want to start thinking about what level of overtime we budget for. I mean, this is a very small amount. We don't have police or something, where we've got besides fire, where we have a ton of budgeted overtime. But this is one classification where we started budgeting overtime for NATS. And I just want to be really mindful about that for precedent for the township.
Sure. So just to clarify, the motion was to accept the requested positions for 2 FTE natural area technicians seasonal from March through November 2026 at management's recommendation of a maximum of $22.50 per hour.
Support still.
that's overriding the director's request of 2050 to 2350 as a range.
Correct.
Yes.
Why?
I think he says about 4.6% for it or something like that. Is that
Yeah.
right?
It's a 4.6% year-over-year increase, whereas most staff is getting 2.5%.
I'm just saying that it's not necessarily going to be paid at 2350, but there's a range of 2350. We're saying the max of 2250.
Yeah, and I'm also cognizant that this is management's consensus recommendation, so I want to support. Obviously, I want to support everyone, but I think it's fair that management has given us their recommendation, the director's given us their recommendation. I think it's fair to meet in the middle. That's just my personal opinion. Certainly open to others.
Discussion. I do not support these positions strictly because of the millage language for administrative costs of 15%, which is also in the ordinance, and I think this is well over for totality over 30%. That's what the voters voted.
Okay, so we have a motion. Oh, wait, no, we have another discussion.
All due respect to Kathleen, there is a second sentence in that paragraph that excludes the work that the natural area technicians do. That their labor is not to be counted as part of administrative costs.
This is a difference in interpretation.
Well, I guess we'll just have to vote, and you vote based on what you.
Yep.
Can we do 2 separate votes? One saying yes to the position and another vote as to the salary,
Okay,
if you don't mind.
sure, good, let's do that.
I'll support splitting that into.
But I oppose that. You did it for up to 2 for 2250. I'm going to support that. If you know, I don't think we need to do that.
It's
Okay.
yeah, it's already
She said
supported.
motion.
I would say it is
Since the
clear
motion's on the table,
to
yeah.
accept the requested positions for 2 FTE natural area technicians, seasonal from March to November 2026 at management's recommendation of a maximum of $22.50 per hour.
That's the motion, right?
Yeah.
Let's do a roll call on this, please.
Reed,
Yes.
Riser,
Yes?
Carey,
Yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
Flintoff, yes, Grant.
No,
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you.
So the rest of the new positions, wait, we've already done all of that.
Yep.
Okay, never mind. Was looking at the different, the separate rather than the whole. Okay.
May I just make one comment?
Sure.
I just want to thank everybody who's working so hard on the budget and the authorized positions. I know earlier there was some public comment. I will say one thing about sort of a lot of the negative public comment about staff working so hard in finance. I just want to condemn that. I want to say what a bummer it is that when people are coming in on snow days, working through family tragedies, working through horrifyingly hard things in their personal life, as happens across our organization, the lack of compassion, and I have to say, it is demoralizing, but as a leader in this organization, it's infuriating. I mean, Nikki, the finance team, me, Barb, Treasury, we work and work and work happily and with honor, and to be criticized for working is just gross. It's actually the first time ever in my time in Scio Township where staff are getting criticized for doing work and keeping the business of the township going. So I want to thank Nikki and everybody else for this work. I also want to thank Plant and everybody. We have changed things around and we're staying on timeline, and I just appreciate everybody's flexibility. So thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Aurora.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're all set with this part of the budget.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next
for me.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Nikki.
All right, so we are on to O2. Okay, so this is the exemplary bonus for Rebecca Bayako. We had conversations, Becky, Andrea, Aurora, and I, on how to create this this agenda item and the request to present to the board. And we thought about it, and this is pretty much the assessor of record. It's not just the assessor of record that she has willingly taken on to help our township, and this is state mandated that we do need an assessor of record. But it's not just that, and maybe the bonus wording or whatever isn't correct. We were just trying to figure this out. But, you know, Becky has really stepped up. We were without an assistant or residential, I can't remember the title, for 5 months. Becky stepped in along with Andrea, and they worked and worked and worked. And Becky, she didn't have to do that. She could have just said, I'm sticking with my 3 days with her 8 hours, and she went above and beyond that. So this is, I'm supportive of this, and I'm supportive of my staff, or the assessing staff under the supervisor, and working with Aurora on this. So Aurora, our HR manager also supports this. So we could open it up for discussion, or however you want to do this. Well, Clerk Flintoff had
No, that's fine, I can let me turn.
her draw first.
I want to thank you for bringing this and appreciate consulting with Aurora on it. I just want to thank Becky. I like the sentence, Becky has consistently exceeded expectations demonstrating dedication, professionalism, and a commitment to serving the needs of Scio Township. So thank you, Becky. You do an awesome job, and I want to acknowledge that. I am supportive of some sort of incremental compensation that recognizes the additional responsibility you have as assessor of record since January 13th, when the board approved and ratified the decision made by the supervisor as accepted by the State Tax Commission, assigning Becky as our assessor of record. That is our motion that we made. I am curious. I am curious about why we couldn't do something more, or why it's not being recommended as something more like acting pay, since this is a new assignment since January 13th. We don't know what the end date is. And I'm also cognizant of not wanting to set a precedent that we later regret. So when I see exemplary bonus being given by a governing body of elected officials, it makes me nervous about how that will be considered in the future. I don't recall other bonuses. There was the additional compensation, much less compensation, fixed amount to Matt Donachowski when he stepped in utilities as sort of acting pay, and I think that was a good parallel. I couldn't recall any others. I do recall voting down straight up bonuses before, even for employees as beloved and maybe even longer serving than Becky. So I'm uncomfortable with the bonus as a precedent. I am supportive of, fair compensation for this, ongoing additional responsibility.
Trustee Reiser, you had your hand, you
I
raised your hand.
did. I don't mind yielding. I would like to kind of weigh in at some point. Do we know how long this is likely to be? Is it likely to be April, May, June, July?
May, after we hear back from the state, after they have accepted the role.
So if this was on an annual basis, if you took $5,000 and divided by 26, that would be $192 extra additional per pay period for temporary pay. If it were for half a year, it would be an extra $384, this $5,000 on an annualized basis. So if it's going to take approximately 6 months, and I say that's approximately, it could be 5 months. So I'm wondering if we could take that figure and divide it by the number of pay periods, or like, I don't know, I'd be okay with, I think she should get more pay. She's doing more pay. She's had to work 10-hour days. She's using her education, her experience. She's signing the role. She's putting her license on the line. So I'm in favor for compensation. It's the formula at which, how do we get there? Do we take 5,000 divided by 13, which is half a year, and that's 384 per pay period? And wait a minute, I'm getting the lawyer saying, "Shut up, Reiser."
I don't think that the issue is whether you can pay it in one amount. I don't think you have to try to. But the issue is using the term exemplary bonus.
Oh, I'm not.
I would recommend that you say it's compensation for additional responsibility,
right.
or acting pay out of class, or something that recognizes that this is tied to the fact that Ms. Bianco is taking on this new
temporary duty that's more.
I think acting.
Yeah. So I appreciate your complicated.
Oh, I don't know what I do, but thank you.
But I think it's overly complicated, John, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. No, I get put in my place by a lawyer at home too. So I yield the floor. I'm for something, and I wait to hear what it is we call us around.
Awesome.
Supervisor Carey.
They would have to,
Ryan has his hand.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll throw out a motion that might help us out a little bit of this. To approve a one-time $5,000 additional compensation for Rebecca Becky Bayako, level 3 assessor, for her additional job duty of assessor of record from account 101-257-706.
Did you say that off the top of your head?
No,
Did you write it?
There's no second, so.
Did you write it down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it written down.
There's
I have it
no
written
second.
down.
Riser supports.
Okay.
There is now. All right,
So my concern with the one time is we don't know, I want it to be fair.
Fair.
And we don't know how long, we were pretty sure, but the board will have to take another separate action to make that change. And so something more like, hourly, it just feels more fair to me. Hourly back to January 13th.
well,
So what is the concern about hourly, which is the way we pay everybody else for everything?
the issue,
I think one of the things we brought up was that her pay is higher than the assessors.
Right.
If she were to
On an
work
hour.
a full-time, 40-hour week, she would make more money hourly than the assessor does.
But she's being the assessor of record. I appreciate that's not ideal, but.
well, the assessor of record is a duty, and the assessor of record's a duty, and if you look at the head assessor, all the other duties that is under the head assessor that is not going to be assigned to the assistant assessor.
Those still exist for Andrea?
Yes, this is just the duty for the
This
assessor of record.
is certifying the role.
Yeah. Okay, I know in my head, we've had many discussions about this, so hopefully that has made sense. And then, go ahead.
Do you need me to go up or am I good here?
Is the
Do you mind coming there, using the mic? Thank you, Aurora. Thanks, Kristen.
Sure.
I think one of the things that we need to remember with this is that this is out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to vote on this, I should say, or how the recommendation is, because this is out of the ordinary. She's in a role that is not typical. I could not do the role. Unless you're a level 3, you can't sign the assessment role. So I think that that's how we need to look at this is compensation for this temporary part of this position, assessor. And then just vote on it, looking at it from that way. I don't think that we're causing a precedent because of that. This is a specialized field. This is a special certification. So I don't think that we're.
Yeah, and I would say, sorry, now we're just really inserting ourselves, but I would say that to your concern about when is this going to end, that we should assume that when the role is signed, that there will be a change. And regardless of what that change is, if it goes back to Ms. Garrett, if it stays where it is, if at that point we have someone completely new, then you can readjust. So I don't think that you have to try to plan 4 steps ahead when we know that this thing is happening right now.
I would just want the record tonight, though, to be really clear that it's kind of those facts would be clear, that we are anticipating it is temporary. It is because the board made a motion on January 13th. It is not because someone volunteered. It is because she has an additional required specialized responsibility, not because she, does a great job in her day-to-day. I mean, that I want it to be really clear that it's for this specialized role, because, already around the office, people are talking about this. And certainly, people have long memories. I see, our fire union president here paying attention as well. So I'm cognizant of the fact that I would like this record to be clear, and the item as prepared with the exemplary bonus, I think doesn't quite
So
do
Ryan,
it.
could you read yours? Could you read it back? Because maybe I might want to amend it to say pursuant to a Board of Trustee resolution on January 23rd, 26 and 13th, and because of the state certification that she holds, comma.
Because of the,
State certification, MMA 03.
I would take that as a friendly amendment at the start of my motion, so do you want to read that again?
It's in the motion, though. I mean, most of it's already in this motion.
It's different though.
That's why we're tweaking it.
Yeah, but I think we're conditioning it. That's part of the basis. It's like, pursuant to Board of Trustee resolution on January 13, 2026, and because of the state certification, comma, MMA 03, number 3, comma, and then.
Yeah, and also the state approved this change. If the state said no.
No, but that's what the January 13th references. The January 13th references the state, and this talks about the MMA 03 certification, comma, that she holds.
So I would, I guess, modify the motion on the floor. It's acceptable to Mr. Reiser. Pursuant to Board of Trustees action on 1/13/26, and because of state certification MMA 03, to approve, that's held by Becky Gacko, to approve a one-time $5,000 additional compensation for Rebecca Becky Biacco, level 3 assessor, for her additional job duty of assessor of record from account 101-257-706.
Do you still support that, John?
I still support that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I might even say including certification of the roles, but I don't think we need to.
Well, it's what assessor of record is.
Well,
it's what they do.
But what is the final step? That would be nice to have in there.
It's understood.
It's understood. There's no scenario where that's not going to happen, right? Or is there?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I'm not predicting the future or what the state will or won't do, but it's highly expected that the roles will be certified in May.
Well, you're talking about two
different things.
Right.
You're talking about two different things.
Yeah.
Becky will sign the role on behalf of the township, and then the state will do their thing. Those are two separates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
but I think you're good. I think you.
we beat this dead horse.
Yeah. Let's put the horse to sleep.
We just had a long conversation about 2.5% here, 2.5% there. And I'm guessing if we were to change her hourly rate, and I'm not quibbling, I think she deserves more. I'm just putting this out in black and white. At her current rate, if she were to work 30 hours a week, which I'm assuming I'm using 30 because I heard she's here for 3 days and it's 10-hour days, so I'm using 30 hours. I don't know if that's correct or not. And I'm calculating 18 weeks from the time of mid-January to the end of May is 18 weeks. I've heard that we have a chance to get a second audit or to get this audit done, that it will be done in May, and that hopefully things will go back to the way they were. So I'm using 18 weeks. Am I wrong? If we change the rate and retroactive to when she was first nominated as assessor of record, going back to mid-January.
At what rate?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we use 18 weeks at 30 hours a week, that's 540 hours. At her current rate, that's $27,000. If we add $5,000 to that, her boosted rate would then be almost would be a 20% increase. Now, we were just talking about a 2.5%, quibbling about 2.5% here. This is a 20% increase if we give her 5, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying we have to recognize the fact that $5,000 for, and if it's 18 weeks, if it's 30 weeks, well then maybe it's only.
But the math
Is that
changes.
correct?
Yeah, the math changes, but so I'm just saying.
In response, I would say,
Yes.
we gotta pay 5,000 to her. We don't have to, but we should pay 5,000 to her, or we risk paying maybe tens of thousands to someone we hired to certify the role.
No question.
We're getting off
Absolutely.
cheap here, I think.
Well,
I'm just saying,
unless you want the state to step in.
I'm just saying, we were just talking about, worried about 2.5%.
I know, but
And this is, I'm just.
Yeah, and for equity, that's why I just think with
And I
precedent.
would prefer, I'm kind of with Jessica, because I would prefer like a change to the, retroactive change to our hourly rate for as long as it takes, because it could be 18 weeks, it could be 30
I tried to do
weeks.
that, but I got shut down.
No, because the state is going to, as soon as they accept the role, they're gonna review that portion that was audited that needed correction. Okay.
May I say something?
Yes, please, stand up so we can all hear you.
If you have to pay a contractor, you wouldn't be paying them over 6 weeks or 7 weeks or 13 weeks. I'm asking for 5,000, that's all I'm asking for. And that is not a lot of money. And I don't think I can sign the role if I can't get that from you guys, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So when I'm thinking about precedent right now, a lot, you know, especially in light of that comment.
Well, this is
And I just want to say, like, I don't know, let's
I'm not
say.
threatening nobody.
No, but Becky, and you and I are good, but let's just keep it real here. I just had flashes of the future. Okay, I had flashes of the future about a certified fire investigator, about a water operator, about, you know, all of this stuff about if you want to stay in compliance, if then, and this is sort of the unfortunate, you know, reality of just how this played out, right? We wanted to get this all buttoned up then. I mean, I am supportive of the additional compensation. I understand that it is a deal. I understand it's necessary. I believe Becky can do it, and I appreciate Becky. I'm just saying, you know, I don't have as much concern about Becky's hourly being above the assessor. I understand it would be ideal, you know, to have things as they are, but right now we're in a situation where they're both working on the roll. Like, they're both doing this higher level work. So I don't have as much concern about Becky's potential hourly being over the assessors for, you know, whatever period of time it takes to be done.
Call the question?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I express the same concerns as Clerk Flintoff for the president. I fully expect someone else would come with the same demands. I want to read the transcript from Supervisor Carey on January the 13th, 2026. I would like to address 04 decrease of salary, the removal of the assessor of record designation from the head assessor duties represents only a single duty change. The remaining statutory responsibilities is to create the required assessor role would not diminish, as the role is neither created nor signed, as the role is neither created by a single individual. It is the whole team. No additional duties will be assigned to the assessor, the assistant assessor.
Correct.
That was the argument used on the 14th, and now there's a precedent-setting argument. And I agree with Trustee Reed of the percentage of 20%.
Okay, regarding that, I did look it up, and, you know, to reduce somebody's salary because of a mistake and temporary, that gets into some potential unlawful issues. Regarding the assessor of record, this is totally different. This is the assessor of record that signs the roll. Everybody in the assessing department, if it's here or Pittsfield Township, everybody works on the roll, but they can't sign the roll unless it's the assessor of record, which is approved by the state of Michigan. So we could say, oh, we're assigning Becky as assessor of record, but then it goes to the state and they're like, no, we don't really like Becky. I'm being funny. But if they could reject that, and then we would have to start someplace else, or the state would step in. And we don't want the state to step in. This is being recorded. Anyways, so for her to take on this additional responsibility, which she really didn't have to, this is...
Because basically, I'm sorry, Julie.
No.
If she doesn't sign the roll, she withdraws her name. Okay, who is Scio going to get to sign the roll on March 10th, 11th, when the board of review's done?
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
I just have an additional comment to make too. Is I believe that there has already been probably precedents established. When the utility director role needed to be filled, there was an interim utility director, correct? And I can't speak to all the terms, but I would assume that there would have been a temporary pay increase for that person to fill that role at that time. So it kind of is the same thing that has already kind of occurred. So I just want the board to take that into consideration.
There's an acting pay.
Correct, exactly.
Hourly acting pay.
Or paid out of class.
Or paid out of class. We have done that before, and as I've said, I'd be more comfortable with that.
Okay, but I thought that's what we had agreed on in the... No?
No, that's not the motion on the table.
Well, should we change the motion to the acting?
I would think that would be.
Okay. And
I'd be happy to do that, to change it to acting pay instead of additional compensation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to recognize our firefighter who's raising here? That's up to you.
So, we have acting pay in our contract, so I'm a lieutenant. If the captain's off and for more than 12 hours I do his job, I get the acting captain pay, which is the pay of the captain.
Right, but there aren't two captains at one time,
No.
which is the situation we have now.
Yep. So
Two
I mean,
captains.
acting pay would be, the standard's already set, right?
Yeah. So I would recommend acting pay out of class because she is out of the class that she's in, out of the grade that she's in.
Yeah. Right, the issue is that Becky currently is a grade 3, already receiving the pay of a grade 8. And now it's on the table to pay her more money, and she's already out of her class and her grade level based upon your study. So if we're going to increase her pay, instead of calling it a bonus or something like that, we could just pay her out of class at the grade level of the assessor 3 of an 8 and give her whatever she's requesting.
5,000.
Yeah.
That's a lump sum.
Treasurer Abel or Clerk Flintoff, this the change of the motion, including or removing the bonus or additional compensation or whatever.
Bonus was never part of the motion for the record.
Well, it was the original motion.
That was the original motion.
But okay, so could you please repeat the motion with the acting pay out of class?
Yeah, I can give this a shot. Pursuant to Board of Trustees action on 1/13/26, and because of the state certification of MMAO3 for Becky Diaco, to approve, we're still gonna call it one-time pay.
Pay out of compensation out of class.
To approve
acting pay out of class.
Acting pay
To approve one-time acting pay out of class of $5,000 for Rebecca Becky Diaco, level 3 assessor for additional job duty of assessor of record from account 101-257-706. Now read support, Mr. Riser.
Riser supported all versions.
Excellent.
And Coeur Flintoff does have, this is an unusual, extraordinary situation. So if there was another, well, I'm cleaning toilets now and I want extra pay, then because Becky got extra pay or whatever.
So let me,
how can we put that into the
let
language?
me add this to the record. The only reason this is happening is because somebody got put into a job before she got compensated to do it.
Correct.
Okay, that is the unusual situation here. The unusual situation here is that the situation with the assessor went to the state appointed Becky as our assessor of record before the board knew about it. The board sets compensation, period. I don't expect this to ever happen again. It shouldn't have happened the first time, and that should never happen again. I mean, that's why we're in this pickle, is because somebody is committed by the state doing her duty to a job she was committed to before the board even knew that had happened. So that can't happen in any other department, I don't think. I don't think it's possible. I don't think there's the authority. Chief?
Not my department, no.
Brandon? Yeah, so like never.
It won't happen in assessing because obviously we cared too much to worry about what was gonna happen. So we won't do it, and when it comes to an audit, I'm not gonna sit through another audit again. That I know for sure.
Because that happens every 4 to 5 years.
The next one's in 2029, and I know where I'm gonna be in 2029. No, I'm gonna be in a trailer somewhere, traveling somewhere out of nowhere.
Call the question.
Yep. Call the question.
Was there support for this?
Yeah,
Riser.
Oh, Riser.
I supported the heck out of it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Reed?
Yes.
Riser?
Yes.
Carey?
Yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff? Yes. Brandt?
No.
Motion passes 5-1.
Okay, thank you. Which brings us to
The next motion.
04.
Yeah, 04.
Oh, yeah, it is 04, okay.
43 minutes.
Yes, that's right, we have to hurry up with this. Aurora, yes, 04, the
Health insurance.
addition of BCBSM Health Savings Account, HSA, PPO, employee medical insurance, and cost sharing for traditional PPO. That's a mouthful.
Sorry, we were looking at the item. I forgot we moved it to consent.
Yes. Yeah. Nikki, thank you for everything.
That was Kate. Already happened.
Oh, I already have this.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want me to just go through just a little bit of information? It seemed like there was a little bit of confusion on exactly what this means.
Yes.
So this Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Savings Account is a PPO account. It is an additional plan to the current traditional Blue Cross Blue Shield plan we have right now. This one is basically the health savings account, and the township is going to put in $700 per single enrollee, or $1,400 per family, for to offset the cost of the health savings, the health out of pocket, etc. So, in other words, the township is funding that to bring the out-of-pocket expenses down to what the current traditional plan is.
The current traditional plan is an older plan that is more expensive. I came before the board a few weeks ago for that one, and the increase was almost 13% for the year for the township. And that's just going to continue to keep going up. That traditional PPO, Blue Cross Blue Shield, is the one that is the cost-sharing one, either 30 for single employee biweekly or 60 for a family biweekly. Payroll deduct effective 4/1. Anyone who is on that current traditional plan during open enrollment, during the month of March or after this meeting, hopefully, if it gets approved, will be able to sign up for the HSA PPO if they would like to, or they can not do anything and stay in our traditional plan. And then the deduction for the cost sharing would start in April. So we had two meetings, two separate meetings that the employees could have attended twice if they had wanted to, regarding both of these plans and a comparison. So we had our representative there from Acrisure, our third-party administrator, who explained it. We handed out booklets and just a synopsis of both of them. I have them at the office still available for the employees, and they were also provided with a PDF of that. So I think we have enough information out there. What I did hear back from some of the employees was that, yes, it was very helpful, and they liked the fact that Acrisure was there. They also made themselves available for any other questions, and he gave his email if anyone wanted to reach out to him.
So this is the plan that is promised in the union agreement with the fire union, so thank you guys for your work on that. Aurora, the chief, Brian, others put in a lot of time to looking at different options. Aurora, were there any kind of outstanding big questions or concerns from staff after those two educational sessions?
No, and I had several employees who did come up to me that said that's actually not, it's low cost. It's nothing. It's basically what they were telling me.
It is almost
sharing.
nothing.
Exactly. There are people paying hundreds, $600-700 a month for their health insurance cost sharing. So $60 a month or $120 a month is still pretty low.
And the fire union could switch to the HSA as well because it's under. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Anybody looks down? Treasurer Abel?
I just like to thank HR Manager Northland for the hard work on this.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Thank you. It wasn't misleading. Thank you.
So there was.
I move the model motion.
I support.
Really loud. Okay. Any other discussion? No. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Point of order. We skipped over 03. Did we take that off the agenda?
03 went to consent.
Oh, went consent. Okay. I missed that. All the shuffling, I missed that.
Yeah.
Card.
Okay, so that motion passed 6-0.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Aurora.
Thank you for everything you do.
All right, 05. So this was presented by, included by Trustee Knoll, and she is out tonight. And so this is just, there's some background here, but this is really to appoint Clerk Flintoff, Trustee Reed, and Trustee Knoll as a committee members for this, to the possible annexations. And do you have more? Go. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
I would be, I'm not in favor of this model motion at this time. So one, a question is, and we don't have to answer it tonight, but these seem like really two different requests from the city of Dexter, so I don't know. One is with the school and one is, I don't think it is a neatly formed committee. So I'm not going to speak to the schools one. I would ask Mariah or somebody else to speak to that, but I will speak to the Dave Lutton, Sloan Kingsley property. I would refer back to resolution 2023-42 and that we adopted on November 14th, 2023. The punchline is that until a formal request for annexation of the property is received from the city of Dexter, the Scio Township Board of Trustees declines to engage in further discussions regarding the city of Dexter's pending application dated May 17th, 2023 from Baker Road Land Holdings. I want to get back to that. That hasn't happened yet. And we can change our mind, but I just want to be clear. I feel like, I know that they have a potential development agreement. There's a lot going on between the developer and the city, but I would love nothing more than to actually hear from the city, not just their mayor informally to one of our trustees, but actually a vote of the Dexter City Council saying, the vote of the Dexter City Council, where actually do a majority of them actually want to go on record and say they want to annex that property. Because they haven't done that yet. And I think that we're playing into their hands a little bit too much by saying we're going to talk. John, Kathy, and I had lovely conversations before, but it pretty quickly went nowhere, and that's why we imposed this resolution.
Well, Kathy's not here, so she can't speak to it. I thought 2 or 3 meetings ago, city council meetings ago, that they did vote.
Did they send us a letter on annexation?
No, they never sent us a
Or
letter.
a 425?
No.
They reached out to us.
It's for the school.
Yeah, they're trying to just bro it up with us to get us to say yes, and I don't want to do that.
Okay, so the vote they took 2 or 3 weeks ago then was not the actual to go forward with the annexation? Okay.
Well,
I understand where you're coming from, and I don't question it.
If
but I
our
thought
goal
they
is
had
preservation, I don't think we should be cooperative.
So, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, first of all, this is just an annexation review committee, and the committee could look at all of, both of these and have a plan or discuss the ins and outs before we even get to that point. Be proactive to have some ideas.
Well, here's a confusing thing to me.
Okay.
As Jessica points out, the first paragraph talks about one piece of property, the second paragraph talks about a second piece of property.
Right, exactly right. So, Kathy Knoll is not feeling well, so she can't be here tonight. Should we just not take action on this?
Sure.
And maybe it gets brought back with some clarity. Is she talking about the school one and the Sloan Kingsley? Because they're a little bit conflated. But although the motion appears to only apply to Sloan Kingsley, and so I guess I would move that we go on to public comment.
I
Well,
have
we have
one
one of those
comment. There's just one comment.
Oh, you're right, sorry. Payment of the bills.
I did talk to Trustee Knoll on the phone this afternoon when I saw that she was not going to be here. She said that the school information is late arriving and she had prepared the rest of the item. So that's where it gets a bit confusing and mixed together. I actually have a new idea. I don't know, tell me if this has support. I make a motion to direct the township attorney to mail a copy of resolution 2023-42 to Dexter City Council and highlight the finally resolved clause.
Support.
Can I also send a letter with it explaining
Sure.
why I'm highlighting that?
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense, but also
Just send it out of the blue.
Also, for the record, just make it clear to them that you gave them the next step.
Yeah, well, do we
Might even
Trigger them to do any something?
So, I do have a question under debate. I think a 425 agreement is a request for annexation.
Where did we get that?
That's from the school.
To clarify.
No, but I'm just saying, does it have to be annexation, or I guess?
The 425 is conditional annexation.
Right.
You are correct.
And I think we need to say, what is our goal? If our goal is to preserve this property, we need to stop throwing out 425.
Yeah. No, there's two different properties.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about Baker Road Land Holdings, Sloan Kingsley.
But the way I read this, we have a 425 on that piece of property.
No.
No, that's the other property, the school.
Yeah,
School.
so can I just clarify that? So I also talked to Trustee Knoll today, and I got similar information. She added that thing about the Dexter Community Schools kind of at the last minute, just to let people know that that is pending. So we have a current 425 on the property on Parker Road where the current Dexter High School sits with this city. It's a really long 425. And there's no benefit to the township. Generally under a 425 there's some kind of revenue sharing, but tax exempt property, no way to share revenue. So the school is interested, the school has two pieces that are south of that on Parker Road toward Jackson. The next adjacent piece, the school is interested in building a field house, and they would like services from the city at the field house. They've carved out a small piece of this larger property that they are discussing with the city, if the city would be interested in adding that to the current 425. 425 obviously is between the city and the township. So the school has also sort of informally reached out to the township to say, would you be willing to do this for us?
And the status of that, I thought that you were reaching out. Like, I don't think it's necessary to have a committee on that. I mean, aren't we going to get an offer back and just deliberate as a board?
Well, I met with the superintendent about the 425 last week, and yes, I'm waiting to hear back from the superintendent about that. I would say that these are so completely different.
They're totally
that
different.
even though they
100%.
have sort of similar
Right.
tags, that we should not consider
I
them
agree.
the
Right,
same.
I don't want to consider.
I would suggest that we continue to have our township attorney be in touch with about the school property and bring back a proposal when ready on that.
So I did not talk to Trustee Knoll. What is she concerned, or why is she requesting a committee? Did she?
She's requesting a committee for the Baker Land Holdings
Right.
question.
Oh, and
Because Mayor Keough continues to call.
Mayor Keough, that's what I understand also, that Mayor Keough continues to reach out to her. I am a little bit concerned that we might miss an opportunity to have some sort of negotiation with them if we keep saying no because we don't like the request the way it's come. So I think that having me reach out to the city and say we're expecting a formal request before we do something makes sense so that they understand what the plan is.
Yeah, I think that would be good because I also, what was it, 21 or 22, where we, at the board table, were sitting here and found out about it because then Mayor Keough, he was publishing reports saying he had been meeting with then Supervisor Hathaway about annexing away the Sloan Kingsley property. So then we said, hey, let's have a committee. We had a committee. The city of Dexter kept saying, remember, John, they're like, what's the benefit to Scio? What's the benefit of Scio? And sure, if they do it, maybe there's some pathways. If they do it, maybe there's some stuff to be done on the road. But I think the question for this body is, do we want to try to preserve that property? Or do we want to concede that it could be developed and then, negotiate a 425, and try to get some protections for the residential wells, the concerns that you and Kathy raised with the expert, David?
Trustee Grant.
There is another option,
Yeah.
which has never been considered, but Mr. Ludden has found a well that works for his 45 acres. why couldn't we negotiate with Mr. Lutton for that water and potentially allow a community waste system? Why should we just give it to Dexter?
Well, maybe a committee could hash all of that out.
But then he'd have to produce his own water treatment plant too. So he'd have to.
I'm not gonna argue the benefits or not, I'm saying it's an option that's never been considered.
So I guess I would ask from our attorney if this model motion, which doesn't reference at all the school property, although she includes that for FYI purposes, is this something that you would recommend we pass tonight, or would you rather just be directed to reach out to Dexter on behalf of Scio Township regarding this Sloan Kingsley?
I think you're asking.
I mean, that feels like a policy question
That's a policy
to me.
question.
I think that the timing of when you establish your review committee is entirely up to you. I don't think it matters if it's now or later, but.
Yeah, I would rather hear back, I think, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Trustee Reed?
We could add upon receipt of formal request. We could form a committee.
Let's wait to see if we get it.
I'm sorry?
I would rather wait to see if we get a letter from the city council.
Well, okay, all right. Passing this with those words shows. I agree. Shows that at least we're open to talk to them.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Well, and I like Trustee Brandt's idea as well, because if there's other options we haven't thought about, maybe this committee could look at all those different options. I mean, it's.
You can't unless the committee's formed.
Exactly, that's,
Yeah.
doesn't just have to be.
But, so this is just evaluating and providing recommendations. So because this committee isn't to talk to the city of Dexter, David, as written. It's not like the prior committee.
Just evaluating and providing recommendations.
Well, the way it's written, you're right. It was not my understanding of what this committee was going to be doing, but the way it's written, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Can we wait until Trustee Noel comes back, and she's probably listening, and she'll hear the comments, and this might need a little bit of massaging. Are we harmed by waiting a couple weeks?
No, I mean, I wouldn't mind asking our township attorney to reach out to the city with Trustee Noel, and ask for some formal, I just want something voted on by the city council, some indication that it's more than just the mayor who is interested in engaging with us on it.
Yeah, just for information, at their last meeting, it was discussion only, there was no voting.
Yeah, they haven't voted. I mean, so they're asking us to take action before they've taken action.
Okay. What was your motion again? Well, actually.
I think it had support from Clerk Flintoff, so
Yeah,
I can
okay.
read it. Direct the township attorney to mail a copy of resolution 2023-40-42 along with their accompanying letter, explaining why, to the Dexter City Council and highlight the finally resolved clause.
Can we leave it to her discretion whether she highlights it or references it or whatever?
I just want to make sure that we remind them
Is
of.
that yellow highlighter?
Red.
Each letter, different colors.
A different font.
I think did I support that?
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote to table this item for March 10th? Upon receipt of table this to be brought back to the board upon receipt of said letter.
So just table without a date. And bring it back once we get a letter.
Once ready, yep.
Yep, okay. I move to table this agenda item.
Okay.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Okay. Last item.
Oh, no, we have K.
No, we have two items.
Payment and then.
We
07,
have 22 minutes, so it has to be
Yeah,
fast.
07. Chief.
Yeah. 07.
Yeah, we'll do that now.
You made him wait all this time.
Thanks, Chief. I like waiting. It's all good. Hey, good evening, board. Thank you. This item relates to our guaranteed maximum contract we have with Cunningham Limp to build our second fire station. After the board gave us authorization to get this handled, I started working with Cunningham Limp on addressing that. However, I was asked a question that I didn't know the answer to. Basically, it is cost savings, whether we should keep it all or share it. So basically, we have a contract with Cunningham Limp. We're not going to go over roughly $12.5 million on the project. And if they come in under, what happens to the money? I thought initially, oh, we'll just keep the money. I thought about it. It sounds great. We put that in the contract. But then I started digging a little bit more and started asking more questions and say, hey, what do other people do? And I found a lot of places that would actually share that with the contract.
I have direct experience with that.
Oh, good.
When I worked at Owens Corning, we did such contracts that talked about incentive to save, and we split the savings.
And that's exactly the dilemma I got into. And I asked them, just put 100% in for now. So as of today, the contract reads that all savings will come back to Scio Township. And I wanted to have this conversation with you. If we were to offer some portion of that under contract amount back to that contractor, would that encourage them to dig even deeper and sharper their pencil a little harder on some of the contracts with their subs, and in return save us money too? I reached out to some other fire chiefs, and you have in that small packet I gave you today, there's
examples.
Yeah, there's several communities here. Here's Dexter, where they give 75% of any savings under the guaranteed maximum price to the contractor. Here's one on Packard Street in Ann Arbor, where 65% goes to the owner and 35% to the contractor. And then here's one in Traverse City, where it's a 50-50 split of any cost savings that are under that guaranteed maximum price. We needed to get this done so that we could, they're starting to order long lead time items. And I told them, just put it at 100 for now. We'll get this authorized, and I'll come back to the board and have this conversation to see if the board's willing or wanted to or found it in their interest to modify that so that the Cunningham Limp would get an incentive for driving the cost down even further.
Has this been approved, this agreement with Cunningham already?
Yeah.
So it's already approved at 100%?
Correct.
With us getting 100%?
Correct.
Yep.
Then why would we want to give them some? Because they'll think, okay.
So I brought it because I wasn't comfortable making this decision myself. This is a board level decision.
But this is something that they're not asking for, you're asking us to consider.
Because it incentivizes them to save. Without this, they have no incentive to save. None.
Oh, yeah. So I did want to get your perspective, Kathleen. I know the contracts may not have been in construction. I don't know if they were, but what's your take on this?
Sure, they were. Different. Yes, construction contracts, not materials.
Yeah.
And we did this on occasion because the intent is to get them to find the savings that they will then benefit from and the company benefits from. Mm-hmm. The current contract, they have no incentive to find any savings. It doesn't, they don't get anything for it.
Don't they have a fiduciary obligation to us?
No, they do not.
No.
That's your duties. That's not the duties of a private company.
They got authority to spend the entire amount.
Okay.
That's right.
And they are getting compensated. They have, I think their percentage is a 2.8% markup. So that they're, if they get up to the full amount of our guaranteed maximum price, they're gonna earn around $350,000.
Wow.
I have talked to some other folks that are working with them at the same time. Some have done 100% back. Others have had some savings that they're sharing with the contractor that are pretty significant. And let me qualify this. Cunningham Limp is an above board company, and they are going to work in our best interests. if the board wanted to do something in this, it would simply be to further incentivize them to drive the cost down.
And have the other communities, are they seeing that this is making a difference, a benefit?
Some are, yes.
Have you heard from the chief in Dexter with their project nearing completion? How much?
He did not have a whole lot of insight as it's managed by Dexter, but he did say that they had some fair cost savings in the project below the guaranteed maximum price.
Interesting.
Would this also perhaps shorten the timeline of the building process?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's more on the cost side if we're to do it. And I think, Cunningham Lynn's objective, and they told us right in the meetings, is that we want to come in under budget for you. We want to make sure that they're doing a good project for us and that they're protecting the reputation as a very reputable company. I only bring this because I'm not comfortable saying, making that decision.
Yeah. I appreciate
I only, to your point, Trustee Reiser, I said, look, just put 100% cost savings in here for Scio until I can go to the board that allows this to get authorized. They can.
So we've already approved it at 100.
Correct.
And but did you know about this when we approved it?
No.
Okay.
This came about last week as we're working through the paperwork.
Okay. It seems a little bait and switchy, but I know that's not how you intended.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely not.
To approve a contract and have it amended afterwards, that does a little bit.
No.
And I'm open to it.
No, John, it does not, because the current contract, this company can do whatever up to the 100%.
I agree.
It's not bait and switch. You're negotiating with a partner in an endeavor. So if they get those savings, they benefit. Currently, they would have no benefit.
Why didn't they suggest that ahead of time?
Sorry?
Why wouldn't they suggest that ahead of time before we approved it? I mean, this can't be a new concept, these cost sharings. I'm open to it, but I just don't like that it's ex post facto. I would be okay with 75-25 if the rest of this board is, but I don't know, I know we have 10 minutes to get agenda items and public comment. So,
I would recommend 50-50.
I would support that.
I'm okay with that.
And I would like to see our cost savings, a report later on, or as we move forward with this.
So, yeah, what we would see, and I can't tell you what it would be if we chose 100-0, I can't, and we went 50-50, and I can't tell you the other way either.
Yeah, we're not going to know the
All I'll be able to know is our final budget, and that's payments that go to them, right? So all I know is our final budget, we came in at $700,000 under budget, and we both benefited in this scenario, which you're suggesting, by $350,000.
So I would make a motion to support a split of 50-50 based on Kathleen's recommendation.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Any more discussion?
I think it's too much, but I see 65 in here, I see 35, I see 75, 25, but
Trevor said he did 50-50.
Yeah, I understand that. I can read that as well as the other ones. So, go ahead, call the question. Please.
Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Reed?
Yes.
Reiser?
No.
Carey?
Yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff? Yes. Brandt?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Board. I will get that
Thanks, Chief.
addressed and
Thank you very much. I think you're going to
Thank you.
save us some money.
I will do the best I can. Thank you very much.
K1, payment of the bills, Clerk Flintoff.
Yes, apologies. Nikki distributed this right before the meeting. It's just an updated list, our typical bills. They are here for your approval.
I move 07, the payment of bills.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bills are approved, 6-0. Okay, now it's time for public comments. Time for the members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. We begin with anyone present.
Renee Kluber. We gotta be.
That would like to speak?
Renee Kubeck, resident and former member of the Compensation Board. I have two quick things to bring to the attention, but before I do that, I just want to say, Clerk Flintoff, I'm really offended at the last two meetings when you've referenced the audience as us being negative. And I'd really like you to think about it, and I'd be happy to talk with you about it. I come here and give time, you come here and give time. This is the only place we have to talk about problems that we as residents see. This is not negative pinpointing, bad-mouthing everything. I'd love to go around and tell everybody, great job, great job. We don't have time. So I would like you to think about how we feel when you say that, if you don't mind. We could talk.
Absolutely.
Okay, two things I want to tell you. I still have grave concerns. I am speaking from the January 30th, 2025 Board of Trustees regular meeting regarding the permanent manager meeting review. I want to reference asset management, which focus on risk assessment, insurance policies, safety such as labor law, and OSHA would reside with HR. That's a big part of HR. I want to point out two things regarding the HR department, which we are failing in, and I still think you need to look at it. It was spoken tonight by the HR manager that the FMLA only needed a little email sent by an employee or someone. That is not correct. FMLA leave typically needs to have a company-provided FMLA request form to initiate the process. They must also submit a Department of Labor medical cert form, WH-380, for their own health condition, or WH-380F for a family member. It goes on to detail. That was not presented by your HR manager. She said, we need an email. I just follow through, I do this. You need to look at these things. The township is going to get caught up in a problem if they don't pay attention to what's being done in the HR department. Secondly, I want to say, when the health savings account was presented in the notes that I read that came through for this presentation, it talked about one of the things to encourage people to use the HSA, and I'm not against that, but you can't give out incorrect information. It said, and if you're going to be retiring, you can put it in and you'll be able to use that money for retirement. An addendum that needs to be known to employees is, if that happens, if you leave, if you have money, that money goes with you, and you have to find someone who is a provider that will handle that money. It does not stay here in Scio Township. Once again, this is information that the HR department should be bringing to employees. So I continue to say to you, this is not personal. This is about protecting the Scio residents, and I just wish that more attention could be paid, because we have a lot of risk management issues. And I'm not going to take any more time tonight because I know other people and we're short of time. So thank you for letting me speak quickly.
Thank you, Renee.
Anyone else present would like to speak?
I'm going to save the long speech as to why I feel the way I do. But I want the record to show that I support the letter that's in the packet from Christy and Laura asking for an apology from our supervisor. I know I sent you each notes on my own, but I'm trying to think of the right word, how I felt when I heard the supervisor, in a person in leadership, to say such horrible things about two hardworking employees. I mean, to tell others not to trust them, that's appalling. Anyway, let the record show. Please, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Pat.
Okay. Anyone else present? Okay, let's move on to online.
Okay. I'm going to go to Paula Globerson. Paula, I did not see your hand up when we closed the last time, but then I think you popped it up afterwards. So if you want to go first, there you go. Go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, good evening, Paula Globerson. I wanted to thank Brandon Boil Water. I'm glad the Clerk Flintoff put it out on the next door. Not that we're all checking it, but it is much better than when we last had a boil water. But I guess maybe couldn't quite figure out how far from Jackson Plaza Road it was. And Brandon, I didn't even leave a message. I just called that number because I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to need to go out and buy some bottled water for 48 hours or a little bit longer. He told me everything had been fixed and blah, blah, and he called me from home because he had his little 2-year-old in the background, so I appreciated that. And then secondly, as you all know, I have a thing for the natural landscape and trees. And Park Road has been a big issue. I do not live on Park Road. I have been listening when Kathy Knoll and David Raleigh, when that was put back together because of some circumstances with the last people, some of the last people on the last board. Now, when a property owner is going to be affected, doesn't even say how they're affected, but whatever the area that you're considering, because I've heard our supervisor, Carrie, dance around special assessment, and no, I have not been privy to knowing when to go over and listen to OHM. Chris Chang was at the last one and talked about, how deep they're going to have to go in and take all those trees because of the Washtenaw County Road Commission. And there's a lot of talk about Working Road, what they're doing there, and how upset people are. If you want more attendance, and when you go, oh, nobody's listening to for public comment, I think somebody on that committee that I do think is the salt of the earth had the billion-dollar question. Why are we treating Park Road differently? And I think everyone who may possibly have a special assessment, under what guise I'm not totally sure, they need to be informed. I shouldn't have to walk around in the cold like I did with a broken leg, informing everybody over there on Rollingwood. And then what about Country French? I know Jillian has said, although they have a thing in their deed, there's a lot of legal questions to this that I'm aware of. And whether Trailwoods, the first place, why the person who signed off on that and our Carlisle Wardman, it could have already been paved all the way down there. Just like some other things that went on during the constructions of Trailwood. And I think you're going to have a lot of people breathing down your necks if people have not been informed. When they were considering a hotel over there, over at the corner of Zeeb, people who had properties or were going to be involved with that got a formal letter. Now, that's just my opinion on that. And if you think that an HOA president, when they can't even elect them by quorum and follow an HOA rules, we've already done enough HOA stuff with the Parkwood condo, and I don't want to get into the whole history of whatever we're now calling our wetland that we're not going to fill in. And I couldn't even believe on that property, Evan Pratt had even okayed that as with the Drainage Commission, but that's other Ann Arbor politics. Anyway, thanks to Brandon, and it looks like, how did we not know that another $50,000 would have to be with OHM to where to put the septic field because of perking it. Whenever you buy a piece of land, you're gonna have to have septic. You want to know where it perks before you buy that land or make a design. I found that I was a little incredulous about that too. But anyway, you guys have a great night.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Paula. Thanks, Paula. Any other hands up?
Yeah, there are a couple. The next person is Rob Pattinson, followed by Mark Altamari.
Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident. So this board has revealed itself. Absolute crickets about Kathleen's damaging behavior last Wednesday. I look forward to the knots you will have to twist yourselves into the next time you bring something forward to discipline Jillian after you just did absolutely nothing about Kathleen.
Sanctioned anyway.
Are we done interrupting?
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I look forward to the knots you will have to twist yourselves into the next time you bring something forward to discipline Jillian after you just did absolutely nothing about Kathleen damaging our relationship with OHM. And Ryan's resignation from LASA. Let me make a prediction. Please prove me wrong. Ryan resigned from LASA so you can appoint Kathleen to LASA. So not only are you not going to limit her duties after Wednesday's mess, you're going to expand them. Message received. It's okay to burn bridges in Scio Township as long as you're on the right side of the board. And there will be no consequences for damaging relationships with consultants and putting the township at risk of losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Ryan, your response to public comments was too muddled to hear. Did you say we went with Boone and Dar because they were the only bidder? Yes, they were the only bidder from the Ann Arbor area. Did you also let residents know that the board decided not to expand the bids to Detroit, Jackson, and Lansing areas? Did you let residents know that this board decided not to solicit bids from all of Southeast Michigan? To be clear, this board accepted one bid for $1,800,000 from one contractor. Yes, that bid was whittled down to $1,570,000 by the contractor by using some existing steel structure, reusing some ductwork, and reusing the heat exchanger. One heat exchanger failed last year, so this new $1.5 million system is based on the weakest link of the old system, the heat exchangers. One is new, and two are over 25 years old. This board accepted one bid that was more than twice as much as the worst case scenario our consultant said would be a maximum of $750,000 for the fanciest HVAC system. And then this board justified the HVAC system saying we would get $672,000 in federal grants to offset the costs. Ryan, have you heard anything about that grant? Do you truly think we will get that grant from this federal administration? Maybe if it was a coal-fired system, we would get the grant. Jessica, I didn't hear any criticism of finance staff. My only criticism about finance was about you refusing to pay Militia for all the extra work you asked her to do. My criticism about you calling in people from over an hour away when the building was closed for severe weather was about poor leadership. And it's zero criticism of finance staff. So once again, you missed the point in your manipulation of the narrative. And lastly, I'd like to highlight that our fire chief sat there for 2 hours and 40 minutes while this board beat dead horses to death again for an 8-minute item that he could have done at 6 o'clock or 6:30 and would have been out of here at a reasonable hour. That reminds me very much of the old Hathaway days, and I expect a lot better out of this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Next up is Mark Altamare. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand the time. I'm going to make this as quick as I can. I made some public comments earlier this evening, 3 of which I asked for specific responses from specific board of trustee members. And I got 0 responses to any of those questions. Just to remind you, I asked for the Catholic Maria Lola. I asked for the tough about allegations in Scio. I talked about the accident. I understand that not all of these things are potentially appropriate for discussion in this forum, but I would appreciate, rather than being ignored, and I think a lot of people would appreciate, rather than being ignored, and some acknowledgement that the comment was made, particularly when there's a specific request that you respond. For example, Clerk Fenton, yes, I'm aware of the news that posted today. I'm not prepared to comment at this time. I will address that later. That would have been perfectly acceptable, but just ignoring things, it just contributes to the climate of accountability. I made 2 other comments which did not request a response, and I got them. One was the HVA system. Rob just went over that. The thing that blew me away was when Ryan let out almost accidentally, we only got 1 bid. I cannot believe that a lucrative contract such as this only received one bid, I would do a deep dive. I would expect a deep dive into how such a lucrative opportunity only interested one contractor. That's astounding. That just begs more questions. And finally, I made some applause at the end for Trustee Reiser when he talked about their culture program. And the response I got was, no, don't applaud. To his credit, he followed that up with a more recent comment, which you applaud, but we don't need you to. We don't want to yet. Well, let me tell you why I applauded. Simply because I recognized you're doing your job, you followed up on a difficult issue, both of you gentlemen. You didn't let it drop or go into oblivion like so many of these things do. You're preparing something, you're getting ready to do it, it's important, it's needed, and I just wanted to express my gratitude for you. And if I am going to criticize any one of you for something that I think is wrong, and I will criticize, then I am absolutely going to offer my appreciation when I think something is right. That's just how I go. Lastly, I hate this mono system of communication. Why doesn't Scio Township hold a town hall and an actual town hall? Please schedule a meeting with residents. You come in and sit down and have an exchange, a conversation like they do in presidential campaigns. Have a town hall. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else that would like to take a public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. There are no hands.
I'd like to make a response, please.
Trustee Brand.
To someone's fantasy that I'm going to get on LASA, I assure you I have no desire to be on LASA. So that's someone's fantasy. Secondly, I have personal experience with filing an FMLA request. I did exactly, and I work for a large international firm. I have the exact same feedback that Aurora did. I sent an email. HR took care of the forms. That's how it worked for me. Third, I attended both sessions for the employees for the HSA policy. And in both sessions, the employees were informed that when they leave Scio Township, those funds need to be transferred to another brokerage. That was crystal clear to them. They were informed. Thank you.
Briefly, I just wanted to acknowledge I meant no disrespect when I said there were negative public comments. I appreciate and respect the right for the comments to be what they are of your government. Regarding the negative comments, I was talking to some of the digital communications over the past several weeks. I wasn't speaking about the public comment here tonight. Regarding Mark's comment, I have not had a chance to check the news today, so if there is something I need to know, please email it to me. Thank you.
And I'd like to clear something up regarding there's Park Road special assessment skirting around. If you recall, when it came to the special assessment that was by the previous supervisor and some, I guess, road advisory committee member or whatever they were, I was one of the residents that voiced against that special assessment for many reasons. And I know special assessments. I study them. I have studied that for years now. And regarding French Country Estate, I have never said anything about their deed or Arbor Point's deed, which does, I supposedly, which I don't know, has language in a special assessment, which is normal for site condos and other neighborhoods. So just to clear that up, there's no skirting around this Park Road. There's lots of moving parts to it. We don't even know where it's going to go, but we have had, the board did approve for OHM to do an engineering study, and they have been in communication with WCRC. It still has to come to the board. The board approved that under the capital improvement plan. But as far as special assessments or funding or anything else, none of that has been talked about. So I just wanted to clear that up. And I think that's it. We're out of time. I haven't seen the WSID people come after us. So This meeting is adjourned at 9:09.
Guess we're not gonna vote, okay?
Okay. Oh, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lose.
You know,